taking. That's what I thought. Question, do you believe it's possible for you to be set free of the medication you're currently on? Or will you be stuck taking it forever? Not to mention all of the side effects. Imagine what it would feel like to be drug-free. You know, the United States makes up less than 5% of the world's population, yet we use over 85% of the world's supply of medication. That's 95% of the world using 15% of the leftover medications, with over 53 other countries living longer than we do here in the United States today. So instead, let's help your body regain its health naturally. Begin your adventure in health with us today by calling our HealthQuest radio hotline and reserve your very own new patient strategy consultation with me. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Oh, and listen to HealthQuest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, every Saturday morning at 11.
Did you know a will alone does not keep your family out of court when you die? The court still has to approve your will. But get a living trust, and your estate can be settled clearly without issue. Talk to the attorneys at Naumann & Associates. They prepare wills and trusts for a flat fee, no surprises, no hourly rate. With decades of experience, they know the law and offer a free consultation. Contact Naumann & Associates in Elk Grove Village, nalawgroup.com. Call 847-593-8777.
Join AM 560 on Thursday, October 2nd in Glen Ellen for a conservative conversation. An evening of insight, inspiration, and ideas on how conservatives can unite around shared values to advance a common agenda. Speakers will include Pastor Lorenzo Sewell of 180 Church in Detroit, Jeannie Ives, and John Anthony, with each bringing a unique perspective on faith, policy, and community leadership. Get your tickets today at 560theanswer.com/conversation. That's 560theanswer.com/conversation.
It's September 22nd, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Elephant Appreciation Day. Make sure you circle this date on your calendar for years to come so you remember, because one thing is for sure, an elephant won't forget. Most people are fascinated by elephants, and what's not to love? In some ways, they're just like us. They develop deep family bonds. Mother elephants are very protective of their young and all the babies within their herd. They are the world's largest land mammal and can live as long as 70 years. And elephants are always ready to travel because they're always carrying their trunks. Also on this date, in 1969, Baseball Hall of Famer Willie Mays becomes only the second player at the time to hit 600 home runs. He did it as a pinch hitter against the San Diego Padres in a game where less than 5,000 fans were on hand to witness history. If it's your birthday today, you share it with former NBA commissioner from 1984 to 2014, David Stern, born in 1942. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Hi, Dan Proft here. Data shows that boys make up more than 1/3 of those exploited in the sex trade. However, there are virtually no services available to male victims and survivors of trafficking and exploitation. They are often overlooked, ignored, and left without support. For 35 years, Emmaus has been on the front lines of an issue most of us can hardly imagine, helping men and boys in Chicago escape the nightmare of human trafficking and rebuild their lives. On Friday, November 1st, you're invited to attend an unforgettable evening at the Emmaus 35th Anniversary Gala at Fisherman's Inn in Elburn, Illinois. Together, they'll celebrate faith, freedom, and restoration with a beautifully catered dinner, an inspiring program, and a silent auction, all to support the mission of rescuing and restoring survivors. This is your chance to do something that truly matters. Reserve your seat today, or if you can't attend, make a life-changing donation at streets.org. That's streets.org. Emmaus is restoring lives. Let's help them keep going. Visit streets.org.
Does your garage floor look lousy with stained or cracked concrete, or even worse, bad epoxy or paint? Call Comer and Cross Concrete Floors now. During their end-of-the-year sale at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR right now, you'll get the best price of the year guaranteed, starting with $750 off. At Comer and Cross Garage Floor, they are the gold standard, guaranteed to never chip, crack, or show tire lift like epoxy or bad paint. And they'll make it so easy. They're in and out in one day. They'll fix your cracks, the pits, and they fix them perfectly the first time. They're certified, they're uniformed, they're employees. They'll even take the stuff out of your garage for you, whether you're in Chicago, Milwaukee, or Indiana. Now is the time to call them for the best price of the year, guaranteed, starting with $750 off right now during their end-of-the-year garage sale. Here's the number. It's easy. 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. That's 1-800-NEW-FLOOR, or go to COMERcross.com.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hawkberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision. And it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hawkberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're a different kind of wireless company dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Because let's face it, our needs are different. Big wireless unlimited plans are designed for 20-somethings, not us. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on one thing, bringing you affordable, reliable rate plans that suit your needs, not ours. How do we do that? We start by using the same towers as the big guys, the exact same towers. We then create rate plans designed for your usage. The fact is, we can offer you an unlimited plan with the same network quality for less because we understand how you use wireless services. Our plans start at just $20 a month. And forget trying to chat with robots. You'll get 100% US-based award-winning customer service when you need help. Come find out how wireless should be and join the millions who've made the switch.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hawkberg, your trusted local lender. Bridget, first-time home buyer, posted this 5-star review about her mortgage experience. Team Hawkberg made one of the biggest and nerve-wracking milestones in our life such an enjoyable experience. David and Anna talked us through every step in our home buying journey with a very tight timeline and made us feel comfortable every step of the way. We put in an offer at the beginning of November, and with Team Hawkberg's help and expertise, we're able to close on our home by the end of the same month. I couldn't say better things about them and our experience. Team Hawkberg all the way. Thank you, Bridget. If you'd like this type of 5-star service on your next mortgage, call Team Hawkberg now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number one more time and that website you love, 855-563-2843, and go to 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
Attention investors with a 401k, IRA, or retirement account. The dollar has lost over 25% of its value in the past 5 years, and it's only going to get worse. Are you prepared for what's about to happen next? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold IRA company in America, and we are helping Americans prepare for the great de-dollarization by diversifying their portfolios with physical precious metals. We've partnered with former chief economist of the IMF, Kenneth Rogoff, to give away his latest book called Our Dollar, Your Problem, a must-read for investors. Call 800-741-GOLD, and we'll rush a free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem to your doorstep and include our special gold IRA investing kit, valued at $49. The dollar is losing value fast. Call 800-741-GOLD now to get your free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem and our free gold IRA investing kit. Supplies are limited. Consult your tax and financial professional before investing. Call 800-741-4653. That's 800-741-GOLD.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access Whan, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access Whan has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access Whan is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access Whan is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be warm and humid with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 79. Tonight, expect overcast skies and mild conditions with a possible isolated thunderstorm later on and a low of 65. Tomorrow will bring cloudy and humid weather with a thunderstorm likely in the afternoon and temperatures peaking at 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. And, of course, yesterday was Charlie Kirk's funeral service, which really, I think J.D. Vance captured it nicely in his remarks, was really a celebration of Charlie Kirk's life and eternal life with Christ.
You know, I can't help but think that they tried to silence my friend Charlie Kirk. They tried to silence our dear friend Charlie Kirk. And today, tonight, we speak with Charlie and for Charlie louder than ever. The evil murderer who took Charlie from us expected us to have a funeral today, and instead, my friends, we have had a revival in celebration of Charlie Kirk and of his Lord Jesus Christ.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line with your reflections on what you saw, to the extent that you watched at some or all of the service. In addition to the vigils that continued on, including last night, there was a hefty turnout at the one in downtown Wheaton. So taking your calls on that. And just picking up on what Vance said, I mean, there was this really cool moment, I thought. Brandon Lake's song Gratitude. I don't know if I'm sure many people are familiar with it. It's a few years old, but it's really one of the most beautiful Christian hymns in recent memory, at least as far as this guy is concerned. And when he was singing Gratitude, and then the crowd started singing it with him, filling in the lines, because obviously many of the, what does that stadium hold? 70,000, 75,000, and there were thousands more outside. They were familiar with Brandon Lake. This was that. You had to hear it because you want to hear the crowd. I mean, just the size of it and how solemn that moment was. I mean, that's part of the discussion here. That's part of what J.D. Vance was talking about. He brought together hundreds of thousands of people, millions across the world in fellowship with Christ and each other. This really important point, because that was central to Charlie Kirk's life, of course. So just that song is so beautiful. Here's a riff from, the actual video of it, where you can hear some of what they were singing with a little bit more clarity, so you know it and you have an appreciation for it if you were unfamiliar with it before yesterday.
So I throw up my hands, praise you again and again, 'cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I've nothing else fit for a king, except for a heart singing hallelujah,
Robert in Bloomingdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I listened to the whole, I watched half of it. I listened to all of it. It was really, really, great. The many speakers. Tucker Carlson made some great points. The only thing, I don't want to knock Trump down, but he turned it into a political rally. He should have, not done that in some ways, but he did okay. But it was beautiful. Now, where do we go now? That's the question. It was beautiful.
Thanks for the call, Robert. Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, thanks, Dan, for taking my call. Oh, yeah, there was two things that rang clear out of that service, and that come right, and their principles right out of the Bible. One was that what evil men intend for evil, God uses and works for good, works for the good. And the other is that we're basically people, they get all hung up on the world here. They think this is it. And the principle in the Bible is, no, the prize, the winning. The only place where there's any peace and paradise is heaven. Charlie, he took one off. He led the way. He's there now. And the thing is that people shouldn't be getting have their eggs in the basket of the earth in earthly things, but be heaven bound and then get there. So
yes,
that came out so clear.
Well said, Craig. Thank you. Sean, Northwest Side.
Hey, good morning. Just two things. I wish they would have done it at an outdoor event to show the true size of crowd and support that Charlie Kirk had. And secondly, I really wish either Charlie Kirk's mom or dad did speak, because I'd love to know how Charlie Kirk became such a strong conservative and where that came from. Here's the backstory of his childhood.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for the call, Sean. Well, of course, Erica Kirk was, I don't want to say the featured attraction because it sounds like this was an entertainment festival, but it really wasn't. It was so much bigger than that, transcendental, really. But she is taking over, as we found out last week, Turning Point, and continuing on in Charlie's work with all those involved in Turning Point. And I know they have hundreds of employees and tens of thousands, thousands of chapters that right now are poised to turn into tens of thousands of chapters. So she's going to have a lot of work ahead of her. The signature moment that I think people are talking about is that she offered forgiveness.
He wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life. That young man. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
The not just her statement of deep and abiding faith, because it takes a deep and abiding faith to forgive someone who has committed such a heinous act against you or someone you love. And we've seen this before, but in every instance, it requires a deep and abiding faith, as I think people can intuit. But the crowd's reaction to it, the applause, she was among the faithful. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. A bit off topic, but I watched all of it. But I'm wondering today, how will the left-wing media, the various Democrats that hated him, how are they going to assess this? And I'm just curious to see their review of this amazing event. I mean, when I heard Mrs. Kirk in tears and willing to forgive the killer, I just couldn't believe it, and I don't know what to say. I mean, it was just a fabulous event.
Thanks for the call, Bob. Well, I suspect you're going to get the full range. Some who are opponents will be properly respectful and silent on the topic, at least not openly hostile. Some who have no impulse control and no class will be openly hostile. Some will try to be politically savvy and spare any criticism of Erica Kirk or those in attendance and focus their criticism on Trump. As Robert from Bloomingdale said, some of the things where he got a little bit off topic, I would say, are easy targets for those who are looking for something to be critical of in yesterday's service to use to be critical of Trump, and also to refocus the attention on President Trump, which is where they want to keep people's attention. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll turn our attention to. We'll continue to talk about the highlights from yesterday's service throughout the show, but we'll turn our attention to some other incidents of leftist violence across the range. Every issue, it seems, where they are particularly animated, you will find violence used as a tool to their political ends. And we've seen it in surprising circumstances, including violence over the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. They'll take to shooting over the suspension of a late night, quote unquote, comedy show. That's at 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. No end in sight for Operation Midway Blitz as protesters and agents continue to clash outside the Broadview ICE facility. Federal agents used tear gas to disperse the crowd. Officials with Homeland Security say more than 500 people have been arrested. Homeowners on the south and west sides may soon feel the pain from rising property taxes. According to a joint study by the Illinois Answer Project and the Chicago Tribune, the average homeowner in Chicago has seen their tax assessment jump by 22% since 2023. However, homeowners on the south and west side saw their assessments more than double. Officials with the Cook County Assessor's Office note that the increased assessment doesn't necessarily mean those homeowners' tax bills will double. However, they say an increase is more than likely. And a man is in custody following a shooting in Chicago's West Loop early yesterday morning. According to reports, a 38-year-old male passed away after he was shot in the chest following an argument. Authorities say a 28-year-old male has been arrested. The suspect has transported himself to a local hospital for treatment of a bullet grazing wound to his leg. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Townhall News, where conservative voices cut through the noise from breaking headlines to fearless opinion. We report what matters without apology. Written by people who actually believe what you believe. Townhall tells the stories the corporate press buries, from President Trump to Capitol Hill, from pivotal elections to your everyday lives. Join the movement at townhall.com. Real stories, real reporters, real conservative media.
Are you prepared for the Illinois estate tax? If your estate is worth over $4 million, your heirs could face a tax bill of up to 16% when you pass. Financial advisor Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions can show you ways to potentially reduce or even eliminate that burden. One strategy is to start gifting assets during your lifetime to lower the taxable value of your estate. Another option is setting up irrevocable trusts, which can shield wealth from estate taxes. Charitable donations and life insurance policies can also be smart tools to offset tax liabilities. Call Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team now, 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Family fun is back at Gobbert's Farm in Pingree Grove. For over 40 years, Gobbert's is Chicagoland's family destination for fall fun. Come experience new rides, a huge corn play box, train adventure, farm animals, and our famous pumpkin-eating dinosaur.
This was the most fun day ever. My parents were there, my kids were there. There was a pumpkin patch, a maze, a haunted house, slides, a train, a fresh market, and there was so much more. I loved it.
It's a family tradition for us to visit Gobbert's. The pumpkins are great, the attractions are fun, and the apple cider donuts are to die for.
Loved it, and almost all the activities were free. My kids had a blast.
And the kids say,
my mom loves the homemade caramel apple.
I have to say, the pumpkin cannon is cool.
They got a pumpkin-eating dinosaur. The live giraffe is really cool.
I love the jumping pillow and the Pumpkin Express train ride.
Gobbert's Farm in Pingree Grove. Pick apples, visit the pumpkin patch, explore the park, and just have fun. Go to Goberts.com to purchase tickets now. That's Goberts.com. Goberts, harvesting family memories.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be warm and humid with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 79. Tonight, expect overcast skies and mild conditions with a possible isolated thunderstorm later on and a low of 65. Tomorrow will bring cloudy and humid weather with a thunderstorm likely in the afternoon and temperatures peaking at 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling, stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We're talking about Charlie Kirk's funeral service in Arizona yesterday, broadcast around the world. And just some really inspiring moments throughout that service. There's some great speeches and great speakers, but the crowd singing Gratitude with Brandon Lake, that's about as good as it gets. You know, a display of Christian fellowship, and comparing and contrast that to the forces that denigrate Charlie Kirk, that even celebrate his assassination, as sick as that is, but it's been on full display. Taking your calls as well with reactions, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line, reactions and reflections. And I know some people are going to want to make it about Trump and picking apart his 40-minute eulogy. I really don't want to take the bait. It was so much bigger than about Trump or even Charlie Kirk. When you have that many people come together, and because not just the way he lived, but also the way he died has generated such reaction because it strikes at the heart of people of faith, of people who believe in a free society, whether they're faithful or not, whether they follow any particular faith tradition or not. And there was a repudiation of political violence as the means to political ends. That's good. I'll tell you, I got this very interesting email from Ron from Berwyn, who's a regular listener. Doesn't always agree with me. Listen to this. Watched the Charlie Kirk Memorial from start to finish yesterday and changed my mind and heart. I can't imagine I will retreat back into any comfort zone, not my collecting habits, my classical music, my creative works. Not that I'll give any of them up. I just won't retreat to them from the battle at hand. I might make my love of God a larger priority than it's been, but not as an escape as much as an inspiration for the fight. Seeing what I saw in that memorial, I don't feel so alone here in Crook County in this fight to save this country and the culture that makes it great. Boy, I can't think of a better sentiment or a better takeaway from what we saw on display in Arizona yesterday. Well said, Ron. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, John in Lincolnwood. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, good morning, Dan. I just wanted to say that, excuse me, can you hear me, Dan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on the Nextdoor app, and right after this beautiful memorial service, a person got on there and just said it was a total disaster. First of all, he said he didn't watch it, but he said it was. He heard it was a total disaster.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
He said it was. He said Trump was being nothing but political, and he's not unifying anybody, and blah 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 blah. So I went on there and I'm like, you said you didn't even watch it, except everything that Trump said, and I said this is you people are just sad. Because somebody died, this person got killed, and all you can do is just your putrid rhetoric. And of course, every comment I make gets flagged. So, I became a reviewer on Nextdoor, and I started flagging all of them and started reporting all of them because I'm sick and tired of this nonsense.
What happens when the flagged becomes the flagger? I like it.
Well, no, and what's funny is a few of the liberals on there that the leftists, that are on there. No, I'm a reviewer because they've gotten flagged by me, and I'm like, yeah, I am. So you know what? Can't always say what you just because your propaganda and your nonsense of they say Trump's a pedophile, and I immediately I report it. I say, you know what? With no proof, and you cannot have accusations of there's nothing that there's no proof. And one thing I think you'll really appreciate is every time they bring up something about Trump or Charlie or whatever, like Charlie's a hater, he's a Nazi or whatever, I say, okay, send me a specific video where you think he said, where he said something that would make him a Nazi. Send me the specific video, and don't send me a generalization because that's all you people do. You just say it's all over the internet. No, I want a specific example, and then there's crickets.
Yeah. So, thanks for the call, John. Appreciate it. Glad you're on Nextdoor, engaged in the action there. People who just accuse people of being criminals also have no argument, and you can just point that out as well and see if they want to grow up and actually make a specific claim or a specific case, as you say. Otherwise, it's time to move on. Tina in Joliet.
Hi. So I thought the entire thing was absolutely beautiful. And what a testament to that young man's life. I mean, just his global reach is, I don't even think I realized how loved he was. And he truly was loved. And Erica Kirk is a much better woman than I will ever be. Her faith is unshakable. And I pray one day I have that level of faith. But at this point, I'm Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction when he's quoting Ezekiel 25:17. Mm-hmm. And I am so incredibly impressed by her. She's an incredible woman, and the two of them were unstoppable. So what a loss.
Do you have bad mofo embroidered on your purse? By any chance?
Working on that now. I'm going to order it from Temu at any minute.
Yeah, very good.
And the other thing, Trump is Trump. Charlie Kirk loved Donald Trump, and they had a father-son relationship. There were a couple moments where I thought, okay, rein it in, buddy, rein it in. Yeah. But that's who he is. Yep. And he, by and large, he gave a beautiful speech about Charlie and about his life and what he gave for this country. And I thought overall, any criticism from the left, it's going to come anyway. They will criticize anything. That's one thing I hope people take from this and understand. There is no amount of acquiescence we can do on our side that will make them understand where we're coming from. They're not like us. And stop thinking that we can negotiate our way out of this problem we have with the left, because we can't. We have to either vote it all out, or I don't know what the solution is, but they don't have the same values we do, period.
Thanks for the call, Tina. Well, we better vote it all out, because the I don't know what else we do gets a little dicey. And this is really on display by the left. I mean, as I mentioned before the news, just watching the news over the weekend and more incidents of political violence. Pick a issue, any issue, and you'll see the left's position attempting to be enforced with violence again and again and again, even to the point of who is or is not on late night television. Of course, I'm talking about this incident that happened at a ABC affiliate station in California on Friday, where this individual who has a social media profile that is chock full of anti-Trump commentary, and commentary is a very generous description of his rants on social media against Trump. He shot into the station's offices in California, booked in Sacramento County main jail on account of assault with a deadly weapon. And nobody was hurt, thankfully, but there were people in the building. And, I mean, this will probably come and go very quickly in terms of the DC press corps coverage. But, you know, shooting into a building where people work is not an inconsequential crime. I maybe in places like Chicagoland and California, they're inured to it, but civilized people are not inured to this. And the Sacramento Police Department said in a statement, the motive remains under investigation. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be real difficult piecing this together, Frank Drebin. His X account, the authoritarian oligarchy is now complete. CBS caving, big law firms in D.C., the subservience, this is not good English. FBI and AG, university president stepping down, fanboy SCOTUS, public radio, ICE goons. We're going to have to fight like hell. Rules don't apply if the election was stolen. Fight. One of his postings. Where is a good heart attack when we need it the most? Please join in my thoughts and prayers for the physical demise of our fearful leader. Another post. He was a follower of leftist pundits who spread the conspiracy theory that the Charlie Kirk assassin was inspired by like fans of Nick Fuentes and other figures on the right. And now he's being held on $200,000 bail and will appear in court on Tuesday on that assault with a deadly weapon charge. I would say aggravated, but we'll see what the prosecutors in Sacramento want to do. He was one of his previous jobs was being a healthcare policy analyst involved in the implementation of Obamacare in California. When he was fired from the job in 2018, he got into a verbal dispute with supervisors who eventually called the police on him. Later sued for discrimination, but dropped the complaint in 2020. There was also some reporting to suggest, based on a LinkedIn account matching the name, that he's a former legislative director of the California Federation of Teachers, which would come as no surprise, given these teachers' unions and how radical they are. They're about half a dial turn more peaceful than Antifa. So that's over a late-night talk show host's suspension. I guess, we might as well fold this in, too, since it happened over the weekend, just to make the point. This shooting at a country club in New Hampshire, the country club, I just want to make sure I've got the name of the country club right. This was in Nashua, New Hampshire. I know that. Well, here's an eyewitness account of what happened when somebody burst into a country club and opened fire and killed a guy.
I heard.
So when you say that he was walking to the party, was this actually at the wedding venue?
No, he was not in the wedding venue. He was in the restaurant, and basically he must have came through, went right. It looked like a target that he was going right for this person. So I feel terrible for him.
Did he dress him by name? Did you get the sense that they knew who?
Didn't hear anything. He just came out and said
what he said.
Yeah, what he said was the children are safe and free Palestine.
Free Palestine. Sky Meadow Country Club in Nashua, New Hampshire. 1 dead, 2 injured. Free Palestine. So here again, I don't. Maybe this was a cover. The indication was that he was targeting the person that he shot and killed. But he said what he said, and it's not like we haven't seen this before. It's not that far removed from 2 Israeli embassy staffers who were murdered by a leftist crank who believed that indiscriminately killing Jewish people would somehow, quote unquote, free Palestine. Pick a topic, any topic. Should we talk about the protests outside of the ICE facility in Broadview over the weekend, where you have all these crazy leftists in Chicagoland trying to block federal law enforcement officers from getting in and out of their offices, necessitating pepper spray and other efforts to disperse the crowd? And I mean, the most vile things were said. Of course they were. In these times where we want to ratchet down the rhetoric and agree to disagree respectfully and peacefully, right? Isn't that what I'm going to hear from people like Dick Durbin and others on the left? And then this is what their rank and file actually do.
Nazi f***ing Gestapo.
You are Nazis! You are Nazis! You are Nazis! You are Nazis!
She sounds nice.
Go Heil Hitler! Come on! Go ahead and cosplay circle jerk.
Raise your hand. Who wants to go have a intelligent conversation about immigration policy with that crew? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Paul and Worth, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, a little comparison between Charlie and President Obama. When Obama graduated from Harvard, he came to Chicago and organized a couple neighborhoods on the southeast side and one neighborhood on the west side. And by comparison, Charlie Kirk was border to border, coast to coast, organizing high schools and colleges. And towards the end of his life, he was a worldwide figure.
Thanks for the call, Paul. Did Obama organize any neighborhoods on the south or west sides of the city? I'm still waiting for the prove up on that. These steel workers he supposedly was able to secure jobs for. Still waiting for a testimonial from one of those who was aided by one of those steel workers aided by then organizer Obama. He organized those neighborhoods into what? What's the lasting imprint of President Obama's community organizing on the city of Chicago? Can anybody tell me? Brian, St. John, Indiana.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I saw one of those waffles, the white, awful liberal women up in Logan Square this weekend wearing a Palestine soccer jersey. And I wanted to ask her, what country is that? They don't have a soccer team. But I bit my tongue. That's all I got.
They don't have a soccer team, yeah. All right. Mark in Oak Lawn.
Hey, how you doing, Dan? How are you?
Good.
Hey, a friend of mine had a good quote from the Bible, and it really sums up Charlie Kirk and his worldview. It basically, Charlie would have said, you just like Christ, if the world hates you, understand that it hated me first. And Charlie was really just a guy that was so in love with Christ that, he wanted everybody else to feel that way. But, and I heard that there was a woman that called in, couple talking about, how the Democrats and Republicans can come together. That's never going to happen. It's just the Democrats are gone. All they want is absolute power. They don't want to have any compromise. They just want absolute power.
Thanks for the call, Mark. Greg Schomburg.
Hey, Dan, take Mark's call, and my question goes to Christian nationalism, in that one of the things I hope happened yesterday is those people who object to Charlie Kirk truly had their hearts moved, and thus coming from your background of Aquinan, metaphysics, etc., could you discuss the distinctives that need to be addressed as it relates to turning, say, someone who would object to a Charlie Kirk based on Christian nationalism into one of us?
Thanks for the call, Greg. I mean, that's a big topic, but I mean, just to in short, I would say that I would focus on the common ground of Christianity. If you have someone who is on the left who is a true believer, you focus on the common ground of Christianity. So at least you're starting from the same premises, and then you can go back and forth about, biblical interpretations as it pertains to informing public policy and the approaches that we should take to the salient issues of the day, to the intractable problems that we're trying to solve or at least mitigate. I mean, that has to be the approach. I mean, Christian nationalism is just a way to say, oh, they've polluted or politicized Christianity, or they're trying to say that MAGA and Christianity or America First and Christianity are synonyms. No, they're not. Nobody's saying that. Saying, the whole point is to say my faith informs my views. And that's true whether you're Christian, Jew, or Muslim, if you take your faith seriously. And that's okay. That's fine. So now that we believe in a God that is not us, something bigger than ourselves, let's start to talk about what exactly that means and get rid of the cheap sloganeering or recitation of a DNC talking point, so you don't have to get into the depths here. Let's get out of the shallows and get into the depths a little bit if you are who you say you are in terms of being a believer. I think that would be the start of a productive conversation. Maurice and Berwyn.
Yeah, Dan, I'll make it brief. Putting something like the Lincoln thing, what did you say? Malice thing. Towards none.
No.
Lincoln. Yeah. Malice towards none, charity towards all, right? Do we need to bump up into that for people to back down? Because, guys, hey, I make up 13% of the population with a 49% incarceration rate. I'm a panda. But people, it's true. I tell people that all the time. I'm a reality-based individual. That's why I've gone as far in life as I have. Guys, do we need to go up to that reason of why it never needs to be a civil war in America ever again? Because no one's backing down. Everything you guys say about the left, the right, the left says about you guys, right? I'm a conservative Democrat, as I call myself. But something needs to happen here where people understand each other better.
Well, yeah. Well, the first thing that needs to happen is that there needs to be a consistent and complete renunciation of violence as the means to political ends. I just keep saying that because there isn't. And this is predominantly a problem on the left. So as long as you think you can shoot your way to persuasion or the imposition of your will, then we're going to have a problem. And when you say neither side, is backing down, the way that the two sides are quote unquote standing up for their positions or digging in on their positions is very, very different. And if we can't get that baseline agreement, then things are going to go sideways in a hurry unless and until the electorate speaks with a unified voice and repudiates anybody associated with those who believe the ends justify the means.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks for the call, Maurice. That's why they pay me the big bucks. Ron on the South Side.
Absolutely, that's why. Look here. Hey, Dan, after Brandon Johnson had made that ridiculous statement about law enforcement was sick, it's a little pop-up coffee shop in Brownsville, Slip and Saving. They had a smash and grab. But here's the thing, because they gave away coffee. But you know what? If I was the owner, I would have told the Alderman Pat Dow, get the hell out of here. Get out of here. Because you should have responded to, or I would have said, go back and tell that blithering idiot that we need law enforcement. But see, we don't hear about this, Dan. See, Dan, it's just not the killings. This is happening everywhere. But it just disturbed me. But see, he can't relate to small business owners because he's been just getting government jobs forever. I just despise that piece of garbage when I read about that.
Yeah.
Law enforcement is sick.
Yeah.
He's a sick, and the alderman, again, she just is despicable. What you showing up for?
Thanks for the call, Ron. We're up against the clock. But yeah, law enforcement is a sickness. Brandon Johnson's words that will live in infamy. We'll get to that later in the program. It is now 6 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Mourning her husband, forgiving his killer. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do.
Erica Kirk addressing a massive memorial service for her husband, Charlie.
A packed house here inside State Farm Stadium and an overflow arena nearby as people honored Charlie Kirk, his life, and his accomplishments of just 31 short years, creating a movement and unleashing a revival that people who loved him say will go on.
The assassin failed in his quest because Charlie's message has not been silenced. It now is bigger and better and stronger than ever before.
President Trump saying there's a spiritual realignment happening and calls it only the beginning.
That's Fox's Jeff Manasso in Glendale, Arizona. The president also made news at the memorial, bringing up something else, telling the crowd he plans a major medical announcement today, purporting to reveal a cause of autism.
So we won't let it happen anymore? And how to get at least somewhat better when you have it.
Also later today, the president will fly to New York, where the United Nations General Assembly is starting. He'll address world leaders there tomorrow. The trial resumes this morning for the man charged in the second Trump assassination attempt, and Ryan Ruth, who's defending himself, will take the lead after the prosecution rested its case last week.
He's been trying to convey to the jury that his character is nonviolent and kind. We saw this during cross-examinations, and we expect to see it today when Ruth plans to call only 3 witnesses in his defense. Now, this includes 2 character witnesses, someone he was a mentor over, and a former co-worker.
Fox's Dana Marie McNichol outside the federal court in Fort Pierce, Florida. Some people in the San Francisco area woke up with a jolt after an early morning earthquake, magnitude 4.3. No reports yet of any damage. America's listening to Fox News.
67 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Scattered showers developing this afternoon with a high of 78. Protesters and agents continue to clash outside the Broadview ICE facility. Federal agents used tear gas to disperse the crowd over the weekend. Fox's Madeline Rivera with the details.
There were several clashes between demonstrators and ICE agents who have been coming in and out of the building. Protesters shouting shame and let them go. Demonstrators have every now and then gone up to the driveway of this facility. They've been yelling at the ICE agents on the roof, and in response, those ICE agents have fired pepper balls at them.
Officials with Homeland Security say more than 500 people have been arrested. The Red Cross is assisting a family that was displaced after a Chicago Transit Authority bus crashed into their home this past weekend. Police say the driver of a black sedan ran through a stop sign and crashed into the side of the bus, causing the driver to lose control and crash into the home. The car's driver left the demolished vehicle in the middle of the road and fled the scene. Officials say 5 people inside the Jefferson Park area home escaped injuries, but the bus driver received lacerations on her head, and she was transported to a local hospital for treatment. Former Governor Jim Edgar was laid to rest on Saturday. Edgar served 2 terms as governor, as well as a decade spent as Secretary of State. The Republican service was a bipartisan event with more than 300 people attending, including Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker, who memorialized Edgar as, quote, a force for unity with a unique ability to bring people together despite their differences. Edgar passed away September 14th. He was 79 years old. This report sponsored by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery. Local delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Townhall News, where conservative voices cut through the noise from breaking headlines to fearless opinion. We report what matters without apology. Written by people who actually believe what you believe. Townhall tells the stories the corporate press buries, from President Trump to Capitol Hill, from pivotal elections to your everyday lives. Join the movement at townhall.com. Real stories, real reporters, real conservative media.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Hello, this is Alistair Begg. In September of 2026, I'll be teaching the Bible as we cruise through the Norwegian fjords. I'd love for you to join me. Call 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Winestock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Winestock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Winestock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Winestock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
Are you living with dry AMD?
If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Iserve, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Iserve slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Iserve, or avacincaptad pegol, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Iserve can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Iserve may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Iserve today.
Iserve gets GA going slower.
Visit Iserve.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to the Montrose, that looks good, about 15 to 16 minutes. Outbound is 13 minutes. The Kennedy is in good shape both ways from the Montrose to the Burn Interchange. It's about 9 minutes. Inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 15 minutes. You do have a stall semi blocking the right lane on the Eisenhower on the inbound side right at Western Avenue, so just keep that in mind. Outbound is 15 minutes. The inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 20 minutes. Outbound is 16. And you do have an accident reported on the Tri-State southbound at 31st Street. Traffic is a service of Surround Chicago. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be warm and humid with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 79. Tonight, expect overcast skies and mild conditions with a possible isolated thunderstorm later on and a low of 65. Tomorrow will bring cloudy and humid weather with a thunderstorm likely in the afternoon and temperatures peaking at 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here talking about Charlie Kirk's funeral service yesterday, as well as the unfortunate incidents of leftist political violence that occurred at a country club in Nashua, New Hampshire. It appears the shooter who killed a man yelling "Free Palestine," according to eyewitnesses, as well as the individual who opened fire into the offices of an ABC affiliate in the Sacramento area in California because apparently of the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. So on the one hand, you saw a great example of people living in Christian fellowship with one another at the funeral service and at vigils around the country. And on the other hand, we were treated to this sort of rhetoric all weekend, as we have been since Charlie Kirk's assassination, by the left. And the contrast is pretty stark, and it should be noted, because it clarifies the choice that people have when they go vote for state and federal office holders. boy, I tell you, the squad has really made a mark over the last week. And all are participating, all hands on deck. I don't think these words, particularly in the moment in which they were offered, will soon be forgotten. They shouldn't be. They should be revisited, particularly as, say, the November 2026 election gets closer, so that people don't forget the choice they have. This was Ilhan Omar, Brotherly Love Spice, on CNN with Caitlin Collins. She's the one that looks like a Klingon. Is that too harsh? I don't think so. Anyway, this is her commenting over the weekend on the eve, well, or I guess maybe 2 days removed from Charlie Kirk's funeral service, after the other hateful things she said about not just Charlie Kirk, but anybody who supports Charlie Kirk, you're full of blank and you're hate, all the things. She continued on, pressing the issue. There will, I mean, as we got a caller in the last hour, Tina from Joliet, saying that, I mean, that, you know, someone like Ilhan Omar, I mean, there's no reasoning with this person, and there is no ground she will cede. In fact, to the extent that you offer an olive branch, is the extent that you pull back a stub.
There are so many people willing to excuse the most reprehensible things that he said, that they agree with that they're willing to have monuments for him, that they want to create a day to honor him, and that they want to produce resolutions in the House of Congress honoring his life and legacy. It is one thing to care about his life, because obviously so many people loved him, including his children and wife. But I am not going to sit here and be judged for not wanting to honor any legacy this man has left behind. That should be in the dustbin of history, and we should hopefully move on and forget the hate that he spewed every single day.
So there's one of the Socialist Spice Girls, hardly the only one that has chimed in. Jasmine Crockett.
So one of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was, specifically to us.
Fake eyelashes Spice upset only 2 honkies voted against the resolution to honor Charlie Kirk, congressional resolution. AOC was even more exercised than that. This was her speech in pertinent part in the House against the resolution just mentioned.
Instead of uniting Congress in this tragedy with one of the many bipartisan options to condemn political violence and Kirk's murder, as we did with the late Melissa Hortman, instead, the majority proceeded with a resolution that brings great pain to the millions of Americans who endured segregation, Jim Crow, and the legacy of bigotry today. We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. Who, after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi, claimed that, quote, some amazing patriot, unquote, should bail out his brutal assailant. And accused Jews of controlling, quote, not just the colleges, it's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it, unquote. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans, far from the working, quote, working tirelessly to promote unity, unquote, asserted by the majority in this resolution. It is equally important that Congress does unite to reject the government's attempt to weaponize this moment into an all-out assault on free speech across the country, all in the name of Charlie Kirk, President Trump and the FCC are now cynically threatening to shut down ABC and any outlets who give airtime to the administration's political critics. This is a disgusting attack on the American people and the very First Amendment rights that define us as a country.
You know, it's a funny thing. If honoring Charlie Kirk pains you, then it probably says more about you than it does Charlie Kirk. You know, I mean, let me give you a counterexample from the opposite perspective. You know, when John Lewis, the former congressman and a civil rights activist from the 60s, former congressman from Georgia, when he passed away and was honored, or when he received, I'm pretty sure, I'm going from memory, but I'm pretty sure he was a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That didn't pain me. I mean, I disagreed with John Lewis vehemently in terms of the policy positions he took as a elected official and some of the rhetoric he used, too. He was another one of those where he sees Jim Crow everywhere, race hustling politician. But that doesn't take away from what he did during the civil rights era and the civil right, his role in the civil rights movement and his participation in Bloody Sunday and leading peaceful protesters over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And so, I mean, I recognize what he did and when he was right, and I also openly disagreed when he was wrong. But it didn't pain me to see him honored for, at least from my perspective, what he did during the civil rights era in the 60s. You see the difference? See why it's so difficult? Where is that common ground going to be? I mean, first of all, do they even have the intellectual capacity? AOC and Omar and Crockett. Just nonstop. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And I'll give you a counterexample from the left in just a second, but first we need to hear from Corey and Woodlawn. Corey?
Hey, thanks for taking the call today. You know, the problem with all of these congressmen that's getting up talking bad about Charlie Kirk is Charlie Kirk never said anything derogatory about African Americans. And it makes, to me, as an African American, it makes me feel so sad that we've got these morons around the country representing us that don't even try to give us anything sensible in our communities, anywhere resembling something of faith in our communities. They just attack with racism and hate 24 hours a day. And I hate to comment on previous callers, but that guy that said he's a Democrat, conservative, that's like that cartoon where the cat and the dog shared the same body. That's impossible.
Thanks for the call, Corey. Yeah, I know. Maurice is sort of a man without a country. I think he's trying to still reconcile that, given what the new Marxist Party that has taken over the quote-unquote Democrat Party truly is. That's right. So the counterexample from the left, didn't get to it last week, but I mean, it's sort of odd. It's from Hollywood. It's sort of a one-off, but I mean, you know, these people have profile and you take examples where you can find them. This was on Rainn Wilson, you know, Dwight from The Office. Rainn Wilson's podcast. He interviewed Mark Ruffalo, who is a, you know, consistent voice of the left out of Hollywood, you know, hating all things Trump and all things conservative, and I don't know, you know, certain rights found in the Bill of Rights, like if you take a review of the Second Amendment, you won't find Mark Ruffalo with a thumbs up next to that review. But they talked about Charlie Kirk's assassination. This is a bit dated. It's shortly after he was assassinated, but they had it right, at least in terms of political violence. And so just to contrast, you know, there are these people, even sort of Hollywood leftists, some, where there is maybe possibility. Take a listen.
I spoke to a couple of, let's say, some liberal friends last night at an event, and they were like, you won't find me shedding any tears. And someone else was like, oh, well, there was a little bit of a kind of a good riddance thing. And it's like, guys, no.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I know.
We cannot think or talk that way.
Not at all.
That is not okay.
It's so dangerous, man. I mean, my first thought was, also we had another school shooting.
Yeah. Which totally got buried in the headlines.
Yeah, got buried in the headlines. Of course it would, though. And listen, I'm someone who, my brother was murdered. I lost my brother through gun violence, And so this is a real personal topic for me. There's no winning. We'll never win this way. There's no idea that if we cheer on our opponents being hurt or harmed in any way, that we win as a society. And we all lose. Like I know what his family is going through. Like, I understand that on such a personal level. And it's a tragedy that not only the person who is killed experiences, but the entire family and community around that person. Like, this is no joke, And so it does break my heart, even for someone that is not my political opponent, who would probably call me an idiot.
Now, I want to push back, but I want to push back on you a little bit for even using the word opponent.
Right.
Like, someone who disagrees with, who we disagree with, even vehemently, and we think they're sending the country in exactly the opposite wrong direction that goes against even Jesus's teachings himself. Like, how can we reframe it from opponent to, just someone we disagree with? I don't know what the word is exactly.
Yeah, maybe that is the wrong word, but it's someone who's, we might be on complete ideological opposite ends of the world, but this is the problem in the world. Like, where do we go when violence is the only solution?
Yeah.
Like, that's the final solution, that ethos is what we're going to embrace.
Yeah.
Which is where we're at now. I mean, people are walking around with weapons of war. This is a weapon of war. I mean, I don't know what killed him, but more often than not, we're seeing people killed with weapons of war.
Well, and then, Ruffalo has to sort of go off on a tangent. I don't know what weapon was used to kill him, but I know it was a weapon of war. Okay. If you just set aside, Ruffalo's sort of ideological blindness against private gun ownership and self-protection for a moment, the rest of that, in terms of self-policing, even Dwight there, Rainn Wilson, talking about pushing back against friends in Hollywood, basically saying good riddance and so forth. No, we can't even think like that. He wasn't saying, like, don't say it out loud. He's saying we can't even think like that. And Ruffalo agreed. So, there are those green shoots out there. The problem is they're difficult to identify. So it's going to require people like Rainn Wilson and Mark Ruffalo, and even just rank and file members of who count themselves among the center left or even left, to make themselves known. Because, here's the data again. Something NBC News is not even ignoring these days. Very interesting piece. They profiled some of the survey data that we've been sharing about the actual attitudes of the men and women on the left, self-identified. On college campuses, per that FIRE study or survey of thousands of college students who identify on the left, which is, the great majority, across hundreds of campuses, finding that 15% think it's okay to use violence to silence a speaker you disagree with. A speaker who's spewing hate speech, that kind of cover. And a multiple of that think it's okay to block people from hearing that speaker. And of course, it's even worse when it comes to questions about rationalizing political assassinations. And that was NBC reporting on the Rutgers research that we've brought to you on this show several times now.
We turn now to the rise of political violence in this country. Among young people who spend a lot of time online, support for violent acts is now growing. Stephanie Gosk with our in-depth look.
Soon after Luigi Mangione was accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, the meme started, celebrating the cold-blooded murder, treating the alleged killer like a hero.
He's become a symbol for this really enormous and radical and maybe unprecedented change in American culture.
Anthropologist Max Horder works with the Network Contagion Research Institute, studying online threats.
We're no longer so ashamed of this violence, but actually there's a large percentage of people that actually applaud it.
In a survey of about 1,200 people conducted with Rutgers University, Horder found growing support for political violence among the younger, highly online, and ideologically left-aligned. According to their results, 56% of people who identify as left of center believe there could be some justification for killing President Donald Trump. Hauntingly, a few months before he was assassinated, Charlie Kirk posted about the survey results on X.
Yeah, so did I. So did many others. Because it is disturbing, isn't it? More than half of those identified in that Rutgers survey. And yes, there's some qualifications, younger, some threshold amount of time online. But that half of any significant cohort, statistically significant cohort, more than half, could find a justification for assassinating the President of the United States. Well, that's where we're at.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You probably know I help business owners fight back against the IRS, but did you know I can help with state taxes too? Right now, Illinois is about to open a rare tax amnesty program. For a short window of time, you can pay certain back taxes and have the state wipe out the penalties and interest, no strings attached. But here's the thing, once that window closes, the chance to save is gone. The Illinois Department of Revenue will announce the exact start date and requirements any day now. When they do, the clock will start ticking. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll give you clear updates the moment news breaks, walk you through exactly what you need to do, and help you avoid mistakes that can cost you thousands. Don't get caught off guard. When the state offers a deal like this, you have to move quickly. Go now to fightbacknow.com and get on the list, because when the clock runs out, so does your opportunity to wipe out those extra charges and save big. That's fightbacknow.com.
From the Amish texter talking about Mark Ruffalo's comment there about the weapon used to assassinate Charlie Kirk being a weapon of war. It was a weapon of war, the Spanish-American War of 1898, geniuses. Yeah, I know. I get it. I got it with respect to Mark Ruffalo's views on guns, and he's also out there railing against the Jimmy Kimmel suspension and invoking the prospect that Trump is, authoritarian, who's going to eliminate free speech. I get it. I didn't say it was a conversion story, but at least there is a shred of decency within the ethos of Mark Ruffalo and Rainn Wilson, when it comes to political violence. And so that's a starting point. You have to lower your expectations here. Let me tell you about a proud new sponsor of Chicago's Morning Answer, Access One IT Services and Support. Chicago business owners, listen up. Your phone, internet, and IT should work well 24/7. But when it doesn't, who are you calling? An overseas help desk? Don't do that. If you want clear, reliable local experts, consider Chicago's best, Access One. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for more than 30 years from their headquarters in the West Loop. Whether it's voice over IP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One has you covered. Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore and everywhere in between. They're rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and trusted by law firms, clinics, tech startups, manufacturers, and businesses in virtually every sector. If you're in business, make sure your IT works well every day. Start a conversation about your business needs today by calling Access One at 1-800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. That website is Access, spell out the number 1, O-N-E, accessoneInc.com, and tell them AM560 sent you when you do.
Did you know a will alone does not keep your family out of court when you die? The court still has to approve your will. but get a living trust, and your estate can be settled clearly without issue. Talk to the attorneys at Nauman & Associates. They prepare wills and trusts for a flat fee, no surprises, no hourly rate. With decades of experience, they know the law and offer a free consultation. Contact Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village, nalawgroup.com. Call 847-593-8777.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at truepowergenerator.com. That's TRUpowergenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Rashaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way to have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dream to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text from 847. Rainn Wilson is a New Trier graduate. Blind squirrel finds nut. I didn't know Rainn Wilson graduated from New Trier. Anyway, that may be, but at least, again, in these times, at least somebody who is decidedly on the left, who will chide his fellow leftists who are sort of enable or turn a blind eye to political violence. That's something. It's not everything, but it's something. So, as I said, we have to manage our expectations in these times. Let's see if we can get a general consensus on not using violence to political ends and try to build from there. Coming up at 6:36, we'll have a conversation with our friend Christopher Whalen about Trump raising the price of H-1B visas and other matters, dollar and cents. 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A family's been displaced after a Chicago Transit Authority bus crashed into their home. Police say the driver of a black sedan ran through a stop sign, crashing into the side of a bus, which caused the driver to lose control, crashing into that home. The car's driver fled the scene. No injuries to those inside the home, but the bus driver was injured and transported to a local hospital. Families of some victims of violent crime in our town say they don't think sending in the National Guard troops is the answer. Delphine Sherry lost both her son and daughter to gun violence, says she believes President Donald Trump's promise to deploy troops to Chicago may end up making the streets even more dangerous. And homeowners on the South and West Side may soon feel the pain from rising property taxes. The average homeowner in Chicago is seeing their tax assessment jump by 22%, but those homeowners on the South and West Side saw their assessments more than double. Cook County Assessor's Office notes that increased assessment doesn't necessarily mean a doubled tax bill. This news is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, 708-889-5600. A check of the roads comes up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Scott Jennings sees more sore losing from the left.
This is Tim Walz, Democrat vice presidential candidate last year.
The last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
I mean, he's literally sitting there saying, I wake up in the morning hoping to find news that the President of the United States had died.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Don't get stuck with a cold shower this fall. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Don't wait. The cold temperatures are coming, and the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this fall special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM560 to receive fall special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit centerguardplumbing.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
This is Hugh Hewitt for Townhall.com. I first met Charlie Kirk a dozen years ago on the campus of Colorado Christian University, where I was teaching some 40 high school students a 2-week course on the Constitution and the outline of American history. Bill Armstrong, then the president of CCU, a former United States Senator, asked me to set aside an hour or two for a young man starting a new project called Turning Point USA. That was Charlie at age 20. Of course, I agreed. I was not prepared. Charlie took and held their attention and implanted in them an enthusiasm that shocked and surprised and really excited me, because that enthusiasm was for political engagement of the sort that endures. He had a gift. Charisma cannot be taught. It simply shows up. Charlie had it. He never lost it. All is hardly lost in the ongoing struggle to preserve the Constitution and religious liberty. Charlie would be the first to say the Lord is in control. We shall not see his equal again.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hotchberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to the Montrose looks pretty good. It's 15 minutes. Outbound is 13. The Kennedy from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange is 25. Outbound is 10. Inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office, that is getting busy, 19 to 20 minutes. Outbound is 15. Inbound Stevenson from Tri-State to the Lakeshore is 28 minutes. Outbound is 21. And the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange is 18 minutes. Outbound is 10. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blinds, shades, and shutters, so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindsters.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be warm and humid with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 79. Tonight, expect overcast skies and mild conditions with a possible isolated thunderstorm later on and a low of 65. Tomorrow will bring cloudy and humid weather with a thunderstorm likely in the afternoon and temperatures peaking at 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Michael Lind, academic, University of Texas, author of a book I would recommend called The New Class War. I don't agree with everything Professor Lind has to say in The New Class War or on immigration, but he is a strong intellect. I mean, somebody that whose opinion you need to consider, well-founded arguments, even if they come to different conclusions than I would come to in some cases. He's got a piece out over at Tablet Mag. Infinity is the wrong number of immigrants. Okay. Yeah. I think he's making the headliner writer is making a hyperbolic, but making a point in a hyperbolic way. Lind is more grounded. The U.S. needs fewer immigrants, not more. At the present rate of net 1.5 million immigrants a year, which has been the average under the past 5 presidencies, the U.S. population will balloon from 340 million today to 431.5 million by 2100, an increase of nearly 100 million newcomers who are less educated on average and more dependent on welfare and have higher poverty rates than native-born Americans. These newcomers would enter an economy with slow productivity growth by historic standards, in which reading and math scores are declining, rates of unwed motherhood are among the highest in the world, and ever few citizens can afford a traditional middle-class lifestyle. Well, I would just say that that's a lot to project in terms of the next 75 years. Things will stay where they are today in fitting that description. You know, that this is not inexorable over the course of 75 years, that these descriptions should hold true. But okay. He also goes on to say tech companies want more H-1B indentured cubicle workers who are willing to work for less pay and are more subservient to their bosses than American citizens. Agribusiness companies want more indentured foreign serfs to labor in the fields as an alternative to raising wages to attract American workers or investing in labor-saving machinery. Well, there may be some truth to that. But, you know, there's also this cultural issue. Gen Z workers need praise for meeting basic expectations, 71% of managers say. According to a report from Resume Templates, 71% of managers say Gen Z employees expect to be praised for completing basic tasks. Nearly 60% say Gen Z workers still want positive reinforcement, even when their performance falls short. Protect the self-esteem at all costs. 38%. This is really interesting, just how fragile some are. Not all, some, too many. Managers also revealed how Gen Z handles feedback. 38% say Gen Z employees called out sick the day after receiving constructive criticism, while 27% quit their jobs altogether. I mean, that's a little bit of an itchy trigger, isn't it? Others responded by crying, posting on social media, filing complaints with HR, requesting new managers, or involving their parents. One manager telling Resume Templates they can't handle correction or discipline without crying about it and thinking rules and expectations don't apply to them. This was a survey of 1,050 U.S. managers who manage Gen Z employees. So on the one hand, I understand what Michael Lind is saying. On the other hand, you have to give these people trying to run businesses for a profit and necessarily having to replenish their workforces a little bit of a break in terms of what they seem to be dealing with attitudinally. To help us distill all this and discuss other important economic and geopolitical matters, Christopher Whalen is the chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, LLC. He's also the editor for the Institutional Risk Analyst and author of Inflated, Money, Debt, and the American Dream. Chris Whalen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan.
So Trump just kicked up the price of H-1B visas to $100K. You know, that matters in not every state has a significant number of H-1B visa recipients. But for example, New York and Illinois are two of maybe a dozen states that have more than 10,000, according to U.S. citizens and U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services. So it's still a relatively small number, even if it's a multiple of 10,000. But it could be particularly impactful in certain sectors. What's your take on that play?
Well, you know, the ticket to Disney World has to have a price. I have no problem with him setting it high. Everyone in the world would come here, Dan, if they could. You know, fortunately, we have oceans. But I have no problem with it. I think that we needed reform regarding immigration. The stats that were in your lead-in are kind of shocking, really. It's not that immigration is bad. I'm the child of immigrants.
Yeah.
But we've been here for 250 years. So I look at the world. You have a lot of countries or sort of countries that are disintegrating, and everybody wants to come here and flee whatever is going on in their homeland, and we can't take them all. It's like one of those bad science fiction movies where, certain privileged people are living in the stars and everybody's trying to get up there. We have the same problem because we have free stuff, number one. New York, great example. You have free housing. All you have to do is show up. It's like, give me housing. So, until we change some of those policies, everybody on the planet is going to want to come here.
Well, yes, that's true. But, and by the same token, and just in terms of population projections, the flip side is this. University of New Hampshire analysis finds 5.7 million more childless women of prime childbearing age in 2024 than past trends predicted. Among women under 30, childlessness spiked the hardest. 4 million more women aged 20 to 39 in the country than in 20 years ago. 7 million fewer births. So the other part of this equation is, we're not reproducing, American citizens not reproducing at replacement rate. And the only thing that really has gotten us to replacement rate over the last 2 decades is the people who have immigrated to this country, some illegally, clearly. And so the question, it seems to me, not do we need more immigrants or do we need to continue to allow immigrants in as opposed to sort of shutting down that flow. It's, the sorts of people that we let in and the vetting process and the timeliness of it and so forth. I mean, which is what we've been talking about for generations to no particular positive ends.
No, but I think that's the key. People who come here legally, who do not have violent or criminal backgrounds, why can't we be picky? I see nothing wrong with that, Dan.
Right.
We have a duty to our citizens to only let people into this country who are going to add to our society. We don't need to take everybody's problems, and we certainly don't need to take terrorists and criminals.
Yeah.
So, when President Trump sends them home, I said, bravo.
And of the fragility of Gen Z workers?
Yeah, I was laughing when I was listening to you say that. My dad used to kick the crap out of me. That's how I learned. Tough love.
No sick days?
No sick days, no. When I was a manager, I was privileged to work at Kroll Bond Rating Agency. And when I left, I think I had about 150 people reporting to me, or directly, indirectly. And I didn't mind being a manager. I think you do have to give them a lot more praise than you think, especially when people do good work. You have to focus on those who do good work or are trying to learn, trying to do good work. The rest of them, I think you give them the paddle, right? Mm-hmm. That's the only way you're going to motivate them. And I'll go further. I think you should cut the bottom 5% every year in terms of performance. That's how you motivate people.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's basic human instinct. If you don't scare them a little, they're not going to respond.
Well, I mean, it's not being sort of unfair or ogreish. It's just, you got to perform to stay here. I got to perform to stay here. You got to perform to stay here. That's how it works, right?
You have to pull the dog sled. Those who are not pulling the dog sled can go do something else. Absolutely right. But look, this current generation, I kind of feel sympathy for them because the confused messages that they're getting from our so-called leaders are just a mess. Imagine you as a young teenager today trying to navigate this work market, trying to, figure out where you fit in the world. I'm sure you and I, Dan, have had to remake ourselves several times during our lifetimes.
Yeah, I was going to be a break dancer. Yeah.
Well, I could be a gardener. I'm really good at roses. But you know what I'm saying? To teach people that skill and the humility that you have to realize that what you've been doing isn't going to work in the future, and you got to go do something else. That's a tough choice.
Your buddy Chuck Schumer was on State of the Union over the weekend, and he was pressed on his lethargy in coming around to support Zohran Mamdani for mayor, like so many other dutiful politicos in New York, starting with the governor, have done. This was that exchange. Pretty fun, actually, which I don't get to say very much about Dana Bash-hosted programs.
Okay, well, first of all, I know him. We've had a good relationship in the past, and we had a good meeting 2 weeks ago, a very long meeting with a lot of serious questions, and all I can tell you is I'm going to continue talking to him.
What's the holdup?
I got to continue talking to him, and that's what I'm going to do.
Is part of the calculus that if you endorse a Democratic socialist, you're worried it will be damaging to your party, maybe even your chances of winning back the Senate?
I'm going to continue talking to him. Dana, you can ask me again.
All right. Had to try, Senator. I really
appreciate it. Has he run that by, who are his imaginary friends again? I forgot their names. Bill and Joe and Eileen, what's the last name? Bailey? Joe and Eileen Bailey? His imaginary friends? Yeah. Anyway, why so slow on the uptake for Mamdani there with Chucky Schumer?
Well, Mamdani and AOC and the rest of them on the far left of the Democratic Party are destroying the party. They are going to force a schism among Democrats that I think is, probably the most significant political change we've seen in this country in a century. And it's going to benefit the Republicans. The Republicans could end up being the majority party in this country for a generation, simply because, you notice the Democratic leader in New York rejected Mamdani because he can count. Kathy Hochul, our accidental governor, she has no choice because she has no base. Had it not been for Andrew Cuomo's little foibles, she would never be sitting in that seat. She was a purely decorative lieutenant governor, and now she's got to figure out a way to put together a coalition so she could win. I think the Republicans have a chance of knocking the governor out in New York.
You think Stefanik could win?
Oh, yeah, because of exactly this conversation. There's not a majority in New York State for a socialist agenda. You have people living in privation in New York City. You and I have talked about this. We should be moving low-income families out of New York. There is no way to make that affordable. And even this character Mamdani, who is obviously very charismatic, but has not a clue what he's doing, despite his political experience. You freeze rent in New York City, all of those assets, all of those rent-stabilized apartments are going to deteriorate and be abandoned by their owners. It's funny. We're seeing the end of the progressive era in New York. If you go back to Robert Moses and everything that he did with the help of Tammany Hall, let's remember, all that's done. And the city can't afford it. The city doesn't even get half of what the apartments that they control, 500,000 apartments, to cost every day. How can they continue that? Are they eventually going to give people free apartments when inflation eats away at their ability to pay for things? That's the underlying context here. The only reason we have a Mamdani is because the Fed hasn't done their job. And frankly, again, Trump and Secretary Bessent are right on target. People don't realize the Federal Reserve Board is the keystone of the progressive world. When Franklin Roosevelt created the Board of Governors in Washington in 1935, he was essentially attacking the Republican vision for a decentralized, apolitical central bank. And instead, he brought it to Washington. And everything is now, controlled by the politicians. So, the Fed has given everybody too much. And even today, I would argue we don't have a recession. We have an inflation problem. This economy is not going to slow down, Dan. This economy is on steroids and heroin.
Well, but you know that steroids and heroin usually ends in a crash. To your point, and so
yes.
But this is what's so this is really interesting. I mean, just make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that the ascent of Mamdani is the death throes of essentially progressivism or leftism in New York. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because the progressivism up till this point has been kind of wishy-washy moderate, like Chuck Schumer. He would vote socialist in Washington, but when he was up here in New York, he would sound like a 1950s New Yorker. He would try and balance those two perspectives. When you have people like AOC and Mamdani out there, they're talking about expropriating private property. They're talking about other kind of Marxist-Leninists policies that we know don't work, but are very popular with people who could just barely make ends meet. You know, when you think about the bottom quarter of New York City households spending 50, 60, 70% of their take-home income on housing, that's not going to work, obviously. And at the same time, the city can't take care of the assets. The apartment buildings are falling into decay and disrepair. So where is the solution here? It's not going to come from Mamdani. All he wants to do is give people pap, just a little smile and a little kiss on the cheek, right? But no real solutions. What's the solution in New York City? We should redevelop the entire city. All of the assets that were built by my ancestors have to go. Think about that. The entire city needs to be redone. Who would live there? Only people with money. I hate to say it.
Well, that's really
the cost of acquiring property and building today. Forget about it.
Well, that's really interesting. You know, they're projecting like this is the new way, and this is sort of the consummation of the new Marxist takeover of the Democrat Party, and this is where we're going to go. We're going to increase our pace on the road to serfdom, at least in big city America. And what you're saying is this is. This is the edge of the cliff, and they're about to fall off, and they don't even realize it. Yeah,
because I mean, look at Joe Manchin in West Virginia. He decided to leave the Senate. He's just written a very interesting book. He's a middle of the road Democrat who could have easily become a Republican had he stayed in the Senate. People were expecting that. I think you could see up to a third of Democrats nationally abandon this craziness and cross the aisle and become Republicans.
Do you think
about what that does?
Well, I want to get before we let you go. Our friend Steve Moore says if Mamdani gets elected, which by all accounts he's going to get elected, does Wall Street move to Charlotte or Texas?
They already are.
I mean, is it a formal repudiation more though than the slow move away?
It will accelerate it. I'll give you a kind of quirky example. There's a big real estate investment trust called Rhythm Capital that's just decided to buy a commercial REIT called Paramount. Where are their assets? New York City. Why would you want to go long New York office space when this character is about to become mayor? J.P. Morgan just finished their big headquarters on Park Avenue. It looks like something out of the Chronicles of Riddick. But J.P. Morgan has been moving people out of New York for years, even while they have paid lip service to staying in the city. So the process is only going to accelerate, Dan.
Chris,
why would you stay here? Just so this guy can tax you? Nah.
That's the same thing people in Chicago have been saying for a while and continue to. Chris Whalen, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, author of Inflated. Chris, thanks as always. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dan. Have a great day.
You too. And Chris joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up at 7:07, we'll turn our attention to all things geopolitical with Stephen Bucci. It is now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Paying tribute to Charlie Kirk 11 days after his murder. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The assassin failed in his quest because Charlie's message has not been silenced. It now is bigger and better and stronger than ever before.
President Trump at a massive memorial service in Arizona. Fox's Jeff Manasso was there.
Tens of thousands of people from across the country came together Sunday for church and a faith revival here in Glendale, where in powerful and emotional words, Charlie Kirk's widow Erica said of her husband's killer,
"That man, I forgive him."
She now carries the torch as head of TPUSA, vowing that campus tours will continue this month.
The alleged murderer is due back in court next Monday. This morning, the suspect in the second Trump assassination attempt last year returns to a federal court in Florida. Ryan Ruth will start presenting his own defense at trial, representing himself. He only has 3 approved witnesses to call. Back to the president. He also announced that the Kirk Memorial, he plans a major medical announcement today, purporting to detail a cause for autism.
Their findings are expected to warn pregnant women against using Tylenol unless they have high fevers. Researchers at Mount Sinai found children exposed to acetaminophen during pregnancy may be more likely to develop neurodevelopmental disorders like autism and ADHD. But another study from the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2024 concluded the opposite, stating using the drug while pregnant was not associated with an increased risk of autism.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Today, President Trump will go to the UN. Tomorrow, he'll address world leaders there as Australia, Britain, and Canada join other countries recognizing a Palestinian state as Israel's war rages in Gaza. French President Emmanuel Macron tells CBS Face the Nation it's
the only way to provide a political solution to a situation which has to stop.
Israel opposes a Palestinian state recognition. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Partly cloudy this morning, but things are going to change as we head into the afternoon hours as we see a chance for some scattered thunderstorms and highs topping out at 78 degrees. President Trump alluded to his plans to bring in the National Guard to assist with crime in Chicago while speaking at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk yesterday afternoon.
Raised in the suburbs of Chicago, Charlie was filled with a patriotic spirit from his youth, and he was an all-American in everything he did. And one of the last things he said to me is, "Please, sir, save Chicago." We're going to do that. We're going to save Chicago from horrible crime.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker opposes the idea. Correspondent David Spunt has more.
The president is pleased with the operation in D.C. We're just waiting for the National Guard to hit the streets of Memphis in large numbers. President Trump signed a memo earlier this week to make that happen. Now, Chicago's on the president's menu. He's talked a lot about the Windy City over the past few months, and that talk recently picked up again. Earlier this week, he said, quote, "I'm going to Chicago next," end quote, when talking about sending in the Guard. But the governor, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, is a hard no, posting on social media Trump's administration is surging federal officers in Chicago not to improve public safety, but to create chaos.
Police in Highland Park are investigating the discovery of what appears to be a cannonball. Officials say the cannonball was found near Fort Sheridan. The Waukegan Bomb Squad was called in to assist with the investigation and removal. And train traffic was halted yesterday afternoon after an Amtrak passenger train crashed into construction equipment on its way into Chicago. Passengers reported the train coming to an abrupt halt. There were no major injuries reported. This news is a service of Fox Valley Coins, currently buying all gold and silver bars and coins, silver dollars, rare date-proof and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. A check of the roads comes up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder thinks the media is being ridiculous.
There was a hashtag called Trump is Dead, and it was trending. The same people who covered up for Biden for years are concerned that the president, who held 3 consecutive press conferences recently in one day, takes a little bit of time off, and he's not being transparent about his health.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Iserve, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Iserve slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Iserve, or avacincaptad pegol, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Iserve can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Iserve may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Iserve today.
Iserve gets GA going slower.
Visit Iserve.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
You know when that big online store has special days with ridiculously low prices?
Yeah?
Why doesn't Hasselus Mattress do that?
We do.
You do? When?
Every day.
Okay, good one. But really, when are the big discounts?
Like I said, every day. You know our showrooms are employee-free.
So I can give your mattresses a try.
With no pushy sales guy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that allows us to sell Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more for way less.
Give me numbers.
Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next day delivery, too.
And you do this every day?
Yeah. Plus, through Monday, get a free box spring with every Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, and more, or take an equal amount off an adjustable base.
Wow.
So I guess you could say now is a prime time to buy.
I see what you did there.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasselus.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden still looks pretty good from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 17 minutes. Outbound is 14. The Kennedy from Montrose to the Burn Interchange is 25. Outbound is 12. You do have some slow traffic on the exit ramp from the northbound Tri-State to get onto the Eisenhower, and inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the old post office. And that is very slow, 33 minutes. Outbound is a 20-minute delay. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 34 minutes. Outbound is 21 minutes. And it's starting to get busy on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. 19 minutes on the inbound side. Outbound is 11 minutes. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues. But now, a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be warm and humid with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 79. Tonight, expect overcast skies and mild conditions with a possible isolated thunderstorm later on and a low of 65. Tomorrow will bring cloudy and humid weather with a thunderstorm likely in the afternoon and temperatures peaking at 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, over the weekend, I saw on MSNBC, The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg and others poo-pooing Trump's designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, domestic terrorist organization. And suggesting, as Goldberg did, that it's not even an organization. It's just a loose affiliation of people that share views, that communicate online, and so on and so forth. Well, the reporting that Andy Ngo alone has done on Antifa in Portland, the Rose City Antifa, as they call themselves, that alone, that reporting just in that one city, them patrolling the streets with the city government completely taking a hands-off approach and engaging in random acts of violence, like when they beat the hell out of Andy Ngo, almost killed him, gives lie to what Jeffrey Goldberg and these other people are saying. It's unsurprising that the left is trying to downplay the violence of the extremist elements within their ranks, but it just provides another opportunity to provide the detail This is 5 years ago, 2020. Project Veritas, then under the leadership of James O'Keefe, infiltrated the Rose City Antifa. And here's what they heard from members.
Don't be that f***ing guy with the goddamn spiked brass knuckles getting photos taken of you. Police are going to be like, perfect, we can prosecute these f***ers. Look how violent they are. Right? Not that we're not, but we need to hide it.
Yeah, don't get caught with the brass knuckles. Don't get caught beating people up. Do it, but just don't get caught.
How violent is Antifa or RCA in particular?
Practice things like an eye gouge. It takes very little pressure to injure someone's eyes.
They do not hesitate to either push back or incite some kind of violence. In our classes and in our meetings, before we do any sort of demonstration or black bloc, we talk about weapons detail and what we carry and what we should have. What is black bloc? Well, this is black bloc right now. The term is used to a tactic in which individuals conceal their identity to look uniform so that no one can be identified in an act of a crime. With RCA, it seems much more structured, almost like a company or like a business. So, I feel like there is some type of outside funding, influence, or resources being used.
Consider destroying your enemy, not delivering a really awesome right hand, left eye blow, It's not boxing, it's not kickboxing, it's destroying your enemy.
Oh. Not just dealing a good right hand blow, destroying your enemy, killing him? RCA, Rose City Antifa, is more like a company, you heard. Outside funding, there has to be. One of the informants that O'Keefe got in. And there's also video in that report that he did of the meetings that the guy talks about. Meetings where they're talking about what weapons and what strategy and what tactics. But it's not organized. It's just a bunch of people running around in a one-off lone wolf situation who happen to share the same views. But they're organized enough. Here's the garb. Here are the weapons. Here's the approach. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. Where does the funding come from for all of this? Interesting, too, that the left has no problem with Antifa disguising their identities to commit violent crimes without being caught or caught easily. Whereas they have a problem with ICE disguising their identities to enforce the law so they don't get doxxed and endanger and have people like Antifa targeting them and their families. More contrasts. For more on this and other matters, Stephen Bucci joins us for our weekly conversation. Stephen served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
It's always my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
What about Trump's designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization?
Well, first of all, I think it's a long time in coming. Should have happened before. This lie that you're shining light on here, that they're just it's just sort of a random thing, people coming together. It's not an organization you can go after. Well, if it's not, then who the heck beat up Andy No? It's and that report was chilling. I had not heard the audio from that report before. That's pretty scary stuff. These are not. First of all, we've known for a long time these guys get paid to do this stuff.
Right.
So somebody's funding them. Someone's providing them logistical support with transportation to the different places they want to do these actions, staging weapons like pallets full of bricks and other things. And then clearly here you're talking about training methodologies. I'm sorry, that's organization with a big O. And this is something that they can go after with a RICO investigation, with all of the force of the federal government, because in a lot of those states, you're not going to get much help because they got screwy governors. So the Fed should go after them, and they should treat them just like any other terrorist group, hunt them down, find the money, arrest the operators, and then follow the money back to the people who are funding it and directing it, and put those people in jail. And I think if we do that, there's going to be some surprising people walking around, in orange clothing and their hands behind their backs. It would be really a positive thing for this country. It would remove one of the biggest disruptors that we've had for the last 5 years, and a dangerous group that deliberately targets and hurts either innocent people who disagree with them or law enforcement who are just trying to maintain the peace.
Right. And this is, before we get to the more expansive discussion, just specifically with Antifa, the argument was made by Gobbert and others, that this is not a foreign. Well, first of all, it's not even an organization, but then say to the extent it's an organization, it's not a foreign, so they can't be designated a foreign terrorist organization. I mean, it seems to me like a distinction without a difference. Whether he calls them a terrorist organization and wants the FBI to get more active, or it's a foreign terrorist organization because they find a link to foreign financing and that provides more resources at the disposal. The point is to say this is a organization that is engaged in terrorist activity on American soil, and they need to be dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, that argument is nutty. The FBI is the lead for terrorist prosecuting, hunting down, and finding terrorist organizations domestically, whether they are a foreign entity or a domestic entity. It's still the FBI's job, right? You don't have the CIA doesn't hunt for people here in America, and the military doesn't do that kind of investigatory part. They may get called in to assist the FBI depending on what they think the threat level is. They can actually be brought in under presidential authority to assist law enforcement in that regard. I'm talking about some of our tier 1 counterterror organizations, and they can do it against a domestic terror organization as well. The key here is these guys are terrorists. What they're doing completely fits into that category, and this perpetuation of this lie that they're not, because then that gives them a pass, and you can't really do too much for them because it's useful to the liberal side of our political spectrum, is nutty, and it puts Americans at risk.
A larger conversation about leftist-inspired violence, those on the left who believe violence is the means to political ends. I mean, again, pick an issue, any issue. Trans, we find out not just with respect to Charlie Kirk's assassin, but in filings in court, the man who attempted to kill Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh identifies as a woman now, was deeply mentally ill and suicidal, according to court documents. The immigration, we see what's going on with protests in front of ICE facilities. There was frankly, illegal activity conducted by leftist activists and politicians outside the ICE facility in Broadview in suburban Chicago over the weekend, where they were blocking or attempting to block access and exit of federal law enforcement officers. Middle East policy, you have a gunman apparently killing someone over quote-unquote free Palestine at a country club in New Hampshire. This is after 2 Israeli embassy employees were assassinated. Late night TV. You got a guy who was politically active, apparently former legislative director for the Teachers Union in California, shooting into an occupied office building, ABC affiliate in the Sacramento area. Everywhere you turn around where the left is particularly animated about an issue, temporarily or permanently, you see the incidents of politically related violence. What would you like to see done from either a rhetorical perspective or a law enforcement perspective, or some combination of the two, to address this problem generally?
Well, the first thing is we need to let law enforcement know it's not just okay for them to go after these people, both from an investigatory standpoint and obviously after they do one of these acts to chase them down and prosecute them like any other crime. I mean, they shouldn't have to be told that, but in a lot of these jurisdictions, the police are so under such a microscope from liberal politicians that they feel like their hands are tied. Those tied hands need to be released and let law enforcement do their job. As far as the other stuff, if the Democrats are really serious, if they believe the nonsense that they speak most of the time, that, well, the violence is really on the right, it's not on the left, when they're in total denial of the facts of not just the cases you listed, but I could come up with a dozen more examples of exactly what you're talking about. They need to repudiate it. They need to stop using the terminology. You see Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar are still calling conservatives fascists and Nazis, and that it's all conservatives' fault that this is going on. It's just a natural response to the evil on the right. No, it's not. It's violent. It's criminal. The rhetoric needs to stop, and those using the rhetoric should pay some price, at least in ethics things if they're legislators, but for others, where you don't just get away with this. Because these are the same people, remember, were closing down even the President of the United States when they didn't like his speech. But now, oh no, it's free speech. We got, look, I'm a big free speech guy, but let's find some consistency in controlling, prosecuting, or at least addressing this incitement to violence that is so prevalent on the left.
Turning to Venezuela, the controversy over the elimination of narco terrorists, I guess, because they're designated terrorist organization, Tren de Aragua. Narco terrorists, the elimination of them trafficking in drugs, as we've seen a few examples over the recent weeks. Since August, the Wall Street Journal reports the Pentagon has deployed 3 destroyers, 3 amphibious assault ships, a cruiser, and a fast attack submarine to the region, along with the Navy's P-8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft. 10 F-35 jets are now in Puerto Rico. And Trump was asked over the weekend if his goal is to remove Maduro from power in Venezuela, and he said, "We'll see what happens. It's not an option or a non-option." Okay. What do you think is the Trump administration posture, and what should it be vis-a-vis regime change there?
Well, first, I think what's going on is not necessarily regime change. I'm not saying that it's 100% not the idea, but it's not a de facto because of their presence. It doesn't mean he's going for regime change. The going after the narco folks in international waters, it's still a being discussed issue from a legal standpoint, but there is a lot of precedent over time designating them pirates, things like that it's okay to sink a pirate ship. It's okay to fight against the actions of pirates on the high seas. That's legitimate. It always has been. But if you take it to the next step and say, okay, we're not only doing this to stop the drugs, but we're doing this because it'll also get rid of Maduro. As the president says, it's not a policy yet, but he's clearly that funny construct you gave there that he used. Yeah. It means he hasn't taken it off the table either. So we'll have to wait and see where that goes. Regime change feels very satisfying when you talk about it, but it's harder to do because it can backfire on you. Even people in Venezuela who hate Maduro, if the gringos come in to get rid of him, some of them are going to say, no, we've got to protect our country. And you get some blowback that you don't really expect when you think about it initially. So a little more study needs to be done on that, if it's the right thing to do, if it will be an effective thing to do it and see where it goes. But I think the non-answer that President Trump gave is interesting and will probably bothered Mr. Maduro's sleep last night.
Well, I mean, you do have a guy who won the July 2024 election with 2/3 of the vote, who's in exile. So, I mean, there is sort of popular support for an alternative, well, the one the people voted for, and then, of course, those results were set aside by the dictator, Maduro. It's just, but I mean, I take your point that it's easy to say that, and it's a lot more complicated to orchestrate it and make it look like this is something that is consistent with the popular will of the Venezuelan people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I think it warrants a little more study, a little more deep analysis about, how we do it, when we do it, or if we do it, to get the most beneficial effect from the policy. Just because it's hard doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. It just means you got to make sure it's the right thing to do before you start down that road, because you don't want to waste the assets or the credibility and have it either not work or have something come up that might be worse than what we've got there now. But ignoring it, just leaving it and saying, oh, well, that's down there, that's foolishness. We need to address it. We need to come to a decision as to what we're going to do, and then do some really deep planning as to how we're going to do it, what assets we're going to use, and how we're going to apply those assets, because it's dangerous and difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, again, not so this isn't lost. It's not just about the narco-terrorists. It's about all of the violent crime that was platformed by the last administration by allowing Tren de Aragua members to roam free in this country, and what chaos and mayhem and carnage that they have inflicted. And it wasn't just on apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Dan. Take care.
You too. And Stephen Bucci joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Does your garage floor look lousy with stained or cracked concrete, or even worse, bad epoxy or paint? Call Comer and Cross Concrete Floors now. During their end-of-the-year sale at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR right now, you'll get the best price of the year guaranteed, starting with $750 off. At Comer and Cross Garage Floor, they are the gold standard, guaranteed to never chip, crack, or show tire lift like epoxy or bad paint. And they'll make it so easy, they're in and out in one day. They'll fix your cracks, the pits, and they fix them perfectly the first time. They're certified, they're uniformed, they're employees. They'll even take the stuff out of your garage for you. Whether you're in Chicago, Milwaukee, or Indiana, now is the time to call them for the best price of the year, guaranteed, starting with $750 off right now during their end-of-the-year garage sale. Here's the number. It's easy. 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. That's 1-800-NEW-FLOOR, or go to comercross.com.
Is your business using Windows 10? Very soon, updates for your system will no longer be available. Yep, the clock is ticking on Windows 10. Microsoft will no longer provide free updates, technical support, and security fixes for Windows 10 and previous versions. So take action before your business is impacted. Turnkey is offering a free Windows readiness check. This assessment will analyze your network needs and prepare your business for Windows 11. Don't wait. If you're not ready, your system is vulnerable and could be hacked. All your data could be lost. Can your business afford that? Visit turnkey.pro to sign up for your free assessment. Turnkey can help prepare you for the transition, ensuring a seamless move from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Ask about the free Windows Readiness Check today. Visit turnkey.pro. Before there's no support for Windows 10, that's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, your small business champions.
For decades, Dennis Prager shared his wisdom with listeners around the world through his lectures, courses, interviews, and debates. Now, for the first time, the collective wisdom of Dennis Prager is being made available as a podcast. Listen to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, with new episodes released for a limited time only as a podcast. Subscribe for free today at DennisPrager.com. That's Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, exclusively at DennisPrager.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank that cares about your business and is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Classic Cinemas and proud customer of Signature Bank. We are a local family-owned business that is known for free refills on all sizes of popcorn, soft drinks, and ices. With over 9,000 heated recliners in 16 locations, we marry the traditions of the past with today's state-of-the-art technology. Throw in a 30-minute guarantee and an after-movie mint, and you have the perfect night out. As we strive to make every guest our priority, Signature Bank does the same with their customers. The team at Signature Bank is interested in taking my company forward. They have all the resources and solutions of the big banks, but they customize their offerings to meet my business needs. The customer always comes first with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:37, engineering professor at Oakland University, Barbara Oakley, joins us to discuss how censorship hurts our brains, literally, like physiologically. Barbara Oakley, professor of engineering, Oakland University at 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 68 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Chance for some scattered thunderstorms and highs reaching about 76 degrees. A man is in custody following a shooting in Chicago's West Loop early yesterday morning. According to reports, a 38-year-old male passed away after he was shot in the chest following an argument. Authorities say a 28-year-old male has been arrested. The suspect had transported himself to a local hospital for treatment of a bullet grazing wound to his leg. Train traffic was halted yesterday afternoon after an Amtrak passenger train crashed into construction equipment on its way into Chicago. Passengers reported the train coming to an abrupt halt. There were no major injuries reported. And protesters and agents continue to clash outside the Broadview ICE facility over the weekend. Federal agents used tear gas to disperse the crowds. Officials with Homeland Security say more than 500 people have been arrested. News is a service of AlmostTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross, Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher points out the ultimate troll.
The behavior of Gavin Newsom is so wild, where he's got this shtick down now where he's trying to mimic Trump. And J.D. Vance was asked about it and said, I love his line. He's going to make him crazy. You talk about a real troll. Here's trolling. You can't mimic the king.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker, and I'm here with
Amy Jacobson
from Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and Amy Jacobson here on AM 560 The Answer. Now, I'm a financial advisor, and Amy's the co-host for our program. You know, Amy, recently President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. A lot of folks aren't realizing, Amy, that if they have highly appreciated assets, they can potentially tax defer the capital gains tax, place that money into a qualified opportunity fund, and then 10 years from now, get back out of that investment and pay no capital gains tax on either investment. Have you heard of such a thing, Amy?
I did not know about that. That seemed to be hidden in the bill.
It's only 900 some pages.
Yeah,
we have to pass it to see what's in it.
An easy beach read, yes.
Yes. And now there's another thing in the bill as well, Amy. Section 1202. Amy, did you read Section 1202?
I did not, but thank you for the homework assignment.
If you're a small business owner, many small business owners can now sell their small business and potentially pay no federal capital gains taxes on that capital gain of selling their business.
Wow.
If you'd like to get a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Text the keyword book, that's BOOK, to 224-496-3999. Text the keyword book to 224-496-3999. In addition to the free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? You'll also get our entire Retirement Dakota toolkit. We'll also give you the opportunity to talk to us 15 minutes for free over the telephone at another time so we can go through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act with you, show you how to potentially sell your highly appreciated assets and pay no federal capital gains tax, how qualified opportunity funds work, and also if you're a small business owner, how to potentially pay no capital gains on the sale of your small business through Section 1202, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Text book to 224-496-3999 or call that very same number, 224-496-3999.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm does not offer tax advice.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just one valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose is 18 minutes. Outbound is 16. The Kennedy, real slow. Inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 49 minutes. Outbound is 41. The Eisenhower is jammed inbound from the Jane Addams to the Old Post Office. That's 58 minutes. Outbound is 36. Inbound Stevenson from Tri-State to Lakeshore is 39. Outbound is 22. And the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 21. Outbound is 11. On the south side, watch out for an accident with injuries on Jeffrey Boulevard at 82nd Street. This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be warm and humid with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 79. Tonight, expect overcast skies and mild conditions with a possible isolated thunderstorm later on and a low of 65. Tomorrow will bring cloudy and humid weather with a thunderstorm likely in the afternoon and temperatures peaking at 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I was critical of FCC Chairman Brendan Carr last week for intimating the prospect of regulatory action against ABC for the remarks that Jimmy Kimmel made on his program. Before then, ownership groups, including Sinclair and Nexstar, moved to suspend the program indefinitely. And sort of Disney followed suit because a content producer doesn't have anywhere to distribute the content, so they're trying to figure something out to salvage the show. I suspect, I'm not sure if the leadership of Nexstar or Sinclair is interested, and by the way, that corporate leadership gets a say in what is piped through the channels they own as well. But that doesn't mean that Brendan Carr should have insinuated himself in the discussion as a regulator. Senator Ted Cruz agreed with me, as I'm sure many of you saw. However, that does in no way mean that we should take those on the left now wrapping themselves in the First Amendment as the great protectors of free thinking and free speech in America, because, of course, we know what the leading lights of the left have had to say about Americans' First Amendment rights. In the recent past, Kamala Harris.
We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable.
And how will I know if it's hate or misinformation? Kamala would tell me. That's the problem, isn't it? Always. Tim Walz, her running mate.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
And how will you know it's hate speech or misinformation? Tim Walz will tell you. Hillary Clinton.
But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Yeah, and how will you know who we should criminally charge for hate speech or misinformation? Hillary Clinton will tell you. That doesn't work. Not if you want to live in a free society. Oh, by the way, concurrent to Jimmy Kimmel being suspended, this was interesting. The All In podcast, all those tech whizzes like David Sachs, President Trump's crypto guy, and other successful tech entrepreneurs. The All In podcast. We've talked about it several times on the show. Just recently, they talked about how certain interviews they've done have been censored by YouTube. Certain interviews. Gosh, I wonder who the subjects were.
Oh my gosh. We just found out that the Karp interview has also been censored on safe mode on YouTube. So wait, basically the three talks were Tucker, Tulsi, and Karp, which, by the way, I think if you had the audience vote on what the most engaging and interesting
those were the three best.
Those are up there.
Yeah. And by the way, there are a lot of other really good ones, but those ones I think were the most captivating. I think the audience you could see was like really engrossed.
Animated.
It could be because of Jason's point, which is that if enough people click report an issue, it gets put into that part of the algorithm. So
yeah, we got to have to give a little grace to Neil here.
Oh, so who's the one who's doing all the reporting here? Who's weaponizing the YouTube reporting system? It's a bunch of tolerant liberals.
It could be Putin. You never know. Sachs, you have moments.
We don't need the Russians doing this to us when we're doing it to ourselves.
There could be a cabal that is... We could be inflicting this on ourselves.
I agree with Freeberg's wrap-up. I thought it was remarkable how the whole thing kind of came to.
Yeah, and Karp, he's talking about Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir. And of course, we talked about this last week too. All of those on the left, including Jimmy Kimmel himself, who celebrated the deplatforming of Trump and Trump supporters. David Pakman, who's a popular podcaster on the left, when Roseanne Barr was fired from her show. Big win in the battle of ideas and free speech. Roseanne said what she wanted to say. ABC made the business decisions that were right for them. I don't think David Pakman is saying the same thing about ABC or Sinclair and Nexstar making the right business decisions for them with respect to Jimmy Kimmel. And this is the problem. You can't just pick and choose who gets free speech, who you're going to celebrate being silenced, while decrying those who you like being deplatformed or silenced. I mean, you can do it, but the hypocrisy is manifest, and the problem it poses for a culture that is generally respectful of government restraint on the individual's free speech rights is imperiled. But there's even more to it than that. We talked about this piece last week, but now we have the author of it to discuss it in more detail than with more intelligence than I could, I'm sure, that not only is this a political problem and a cultural norm problem, it's literally something that hurts our brains. I'm talking about censorship. Barbara Oakley is a distinguished professor of engineering at Oakland University and creator and co-instructor of the course Speak Freely, Think Critically. Well, I hope that's a requirement, and I hope other colleges that don't have it maybe model it after whatever Barbara Oakley's doing at Oakland, because I like the title. Barbara Oakley, Professor Oakley, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure to be here, Dan.
So, give us the, I can't go too far in a discussion of basal ganglia. So, give us the sort of the physiology here when it comes to how censorship literally hurts our brains.
Well, it's almost like when you exercise, you are kind of building certain muscles. Well, cognitively speaking, when you exercise your brain by trying to understand someone else's, even if it's really different than what you believe, it's good exercise cognitively for the brain. And when you shut down or put people into safe spaces such that they can't hear opposing or different or even confrontational opinions, they don't get that exercise in mental flexibility that they need and that we need to have in a democratic society.
And then that lack of flexibility, I mean, it doesn't like alter the brain's composition, does it? I mean, does it physically change how you react at a certain point of, I guess, indoctrination or penetration? Did it actually change how your brain works?
What can is there's like this basal ganglia kind of base. It's a way that your brain learns habits, and you can learn cognitive habits. And these habits are extremely inflexible, and you're not even aware that they influence how you think consciously. And so if you keep always getting information from one side, from your data stream you're really comfortable with, you're going to start feeling like that is the truth. You're settled in on it. And if you hear something different from that, it can be really very unsettling if you're not used to hearing those kinds of things, because that inflexible basal ganglia is kind of happily set in place. So that's why we need to have a more open society where we're used to kind of handling different kinds of opinions, because if we get that kind of training growing up, even in schools, we can more handle these kinds of conversations in a more mature fashion than, just simply calling somebody a Nazi or, shutting them down and not listening to them because, it makes you feel very uncomfortable.
And there's no like threshold, how many times you've heard something or how little exposure you've had to an opposing point of view. It's just sort of generally speaking, it becomes, as you said, it's like habit forming. And so the longer you spend in an echo chamber, sort of the more, I guess, intellectually lazy you get. Is that a fair way to say it?
The more you tend to head towards a more extreme position. You think you feel very comfortable. You've got it right, and the other people are really wrong. And then it becomes easier to start thinking of them with epithets like Nazi or anti-democratic or anti-fascist or fascist or whatever your nom du jour is. And when you start putting these kinds of labels on and feeling more and more comfortable that you've got things right, then it also becomes easy for you to think, it's okay they died. It's okay they got shot. Mm-hmm. In fact, it can, for some few people that are really on the fringe, it becomes more viable for them to start thinking about taking extreme measures to shut things down. And of course, they really think they're doing it for the benefit of people, but it actually truly is their own narcissism in feeding what they feel themselves is really the right thing.
Right. I mean, and you see that in some of the survey data, like out of Rutgers, where 56% of younger people who spend a lot of time on the internet believe there is some justification. It's a range, but some justification to assassinating President Trump. 56% in that Rutgers survey.
Unbelievable.
Right.
Unbelievable.
But that sort of socialization is what you're talking about, because then these political opinions become intertwined with somebody's sense of self. And now to disagree is to attack somebody's very sense of self, not just their view on an issue.
Right. And when you've got that deeply integrated into that basal ganglia sort of personal identity system, then if someone tries to reason with you, because you feel it's attacking your own identity, you can become even more strongly entrenched. So it's not like reasoning with someone who's really kind of deeply gone deeply along that path is the right approach to take, because if they're really along the path, then when you try to reason or bring up other kind of opinions, you'll just drive them even further into extreme behavior.
Right. And in that dehumanization piece that comes in, I mean, you saw that with the text message exchange between Charlie Kirk's assassin and his and the guy that was his romantic partner, where he just murdered Charlie Kirk, and the text message is about, gosh, I need to recover that rifle, otherwise my dad is going to be really upset that I lost Grandpa's rifle. He's talking about recovering the weapon he just used to murder someone. He has no qualms. There is no remorse about having just assassinated somebody because they disagreed with him.
That's exactly right. Let's see, did I lose you here?
No, I'm with you. Did you hear what I said?
There was a click there. Yes, I completely agree. And the problem is that people can get if you're unfortunately in schools, in universities, there's often a subliminal or even a conscious push in one direction, politically speaking. And so you're getting this constant push in one direction, and it can start to feel like it's right if you're not getting balanced pushback from the other direction. So this can, over the years, I think this is probably why sometimes want to send their children to either a private school or to homeschool them, because they're very concerned that there's a sort of a one-sided push in many academic places.
Yeah, which there definitely is, and they definitely should be concerned about. Barbara Oakley is a distinguished professor of engineering at Oakland University, creator and co-instructor of the course Speak Freely, Think Critically. Professor Oakley, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And she joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago immune support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
You've heard me talk about Northridge Prep for years, but now I want you to hear from one of their recent graduates, TJ Gorman, who just graduated second in his class in Marine Corps basic training. This is what he said. He said, I was blessed to attend Northridge, not only for the education, but for the values and principles my mentors instilled within me. The school taught us what it meant to be a leader and lead through example, hard work, humility, and empathy. I thank God for Northridge. That's what makes Northridge Prep great for young men. The students are called to excellence to become true leaders. And these boys want to go to school each day. They love Northridge because they can be free to learn, to grow, and to be challenged. There's a real spirit of adventure on campus that you've just got to experience for yourself. For nearly 50 years, Northridge has partnered with parents like no other school in the Chicagoland area. Today in our nation, we need more Northridge graduates to lead the way as men of intellect and character who love God, guys like TJ Gorman, men who put their values first. They have an open house Sunday, October 19th at 1 p.m. for boys in grades 6 through 12. Again, that's Sunday, October 19th, 1 p.m. for boys in grades 6 through 12. You can register for this open house at northridgeprep.org. Again, the open house Sunday, October 19th at 1 p.m., and you can register at northridgeprep.org.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Aid for Women is hosting their annual dinner on Thursday, September 25th, and you're invited. We're gathering at the beautiful Union League Club downtown. That's 65 West Jackson Boulevard for what's always a really special night. This year's speaker is Dr. Robert Royal, who founded the Faith and Reason Institute in Washington. He has some fascinating insights on faith, culture, and the issues we're all talking about. Here's how the evening unfolds. At 5 o'clock, you can meet Dr. Robert Lawler, our medical director, an amazing person with some amazing stories. Then we'll have drinks and good conversation at 5:30, followed by dinner and the program at 6:30. It's really about supporting women in our community. Getting tickets is easy. Just go to helpaidforwomen.org. That's helpaidforwomen.org. You can grab dinner tickets, try your luck with drawing tickets, or if you're feeling generous, check out the sponsorship options. September 25th, Aid for Women's annual dinner. Hope to see you there. Visit helpaidforwomen.org to join us.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chavato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, But having a bank that you could trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, we'll turn our attention to the left's attempt to misdirect away from the Kirk assassination and their own platforming of violence to Jimmy Kimmel as their latest cause celeb. We'll discuss. And then at the bottom of the hour, reflections on the Charlie Kirk funeral service yesterday. We'll get more of those from you as well. It is now 8 o'clock, AM 560, WIND Chicago.
Ryan Ruth is about to present his own defense. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. As the man charged in the second Trump assassination attempt represents himself at trial, and he plans to call 3 witnesses.
Ruth has no approved exhibits for today. He attempted to admit photos of world conflict and articles of him receiving an award. Ruth said his case is about narcissism and attention-seeking behavior. He says it's to show, quote, everything this guy does is to fluff his ego, end quote. And he also mentioned it was for media attention. Judge Cannon did not approve his list, but told Ruth he can challenge her ruling today.
Fox's Dina Marie McNichol outside the federal court in Fort Pierce, Florida. Charlie Kirk's alleged killer is due back in court next Monday. Kirk's widow, Erica, told a memorial service for her husband she forgives the suspected gunman.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do.
And Fox's Matt Finn reports from Glendale, Arizona, where tens of thousands attended that memorial at a football stadium.
Erica Kirk said despite her husband's assassination, Turning Point is not going to stop its campus visits, which it is famous for. She said the dialogue and debate will continue on college campuses. The American Comeback Tour resumes tonight at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities.
President Trump was at the memorial.
None of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history.
The president also told the crowd he plans a big medical announcement today on autism.
The Washington Post reports federal health officials will link pregnant women's use of Tylenol to the condition. Potential treatments for the developmental disorder will also be discussed. A spokesperson for the maker of Tylenol, though, says there's no evidence linking the medication to autism.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. The San Francisco area got a little shaken up very early this morning. An earthquake near Berkeley, magnitude 4.3. No reports of damage or injuries. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 68 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Scattered showers developing this afternoon, high of 76. President Trump alluded to his plans to bring in the National Guard to assist with crime in Chicago, something the president says was asked of him by Turning Point founder Charlie Kirk.
Raised in the suburbs of Chicago, Charlie was filled with a patriotic spirit from his youth, and he was an all-American in everything he did. And one of the last things he said to me is, "Please, sir, save Chicago." We're going to do that. We're going to save Chicago from horrible crime.
The Red Cross is assisting a family that was displaced after a Chicago Transit Authority bus crashed into their home this past weekend. Police say the driver of a black sedan ran through a stop sign and crashed into the side of the bus, causing that driver to lose control and crash into the home. The car's driver then left the vehicle at the scene and fled. Officials say 5 people inside the Jefferson Park area home escaped injuries, but the driver received lacerations on her head. She was transported to a local hospital. Homeowners on the South and West Sides may soon feel the pain from rising property taxes. According to a joint study by the Illinois Answer Project and the Chicago Tribune, the average homeowner in Chicago has seen their tax assessment jump by 22% since 2023. However, homeowners on the South and West Side saw their assessments more than double. Officials with the Cook County Assessor's Office note that increased assessment doesn't necessarily mean the homeowner's tax bills will actually double, but an increase is more than likely. And approximately 400 people braved the cold Chicago River for a good cause yesterday. Correspondent correspondent Tanya J. Powers has the story.
The event highlights improvements made to the river, including stronger environmental regulations and pollution control. The swim benefits ALS research at Northwestern University's Feinberg School of Medicine and youth swim safety education in Chicago. Last year, the event raised $200,000. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
News is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads comes up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat.
Hugh Hewitt warns that China is flexing.
Xi Jinping has capped a week of frenetic diplomacy by presiding over one of China's biggest military parades, projecting his nation's growing power in a show of solidarity with fellow strongman Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. Everyone's got to pay attention to what China is doing and what China is saying, and it's very ominous.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Why don't we do one of those one-day bathroom remodels?
Well, because I don't want a generic bathroom that looks like it belongs at a campsite.
Fair. I'd love something that fits us. A bigger shower, safety grab bars, better lighting, heated floors.
Let's go with Forever Remodeling. There's no templates. Every design is unique and exactly what we want.
At Forever Remodeling, no two bathrooms are ever the same. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-899-5600. That's 708-899-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Iserve, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Iserve slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Iserve, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Iserve can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Iserve may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Iserve today.
Iserve gets GA going slower.
Visit Iserve.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. It's 23 minutes both ways on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange is 37 minutes. Outbound is 44. Very slow on the northbound Tri-State exit ramp to get onto the Eisenhower. Once on the Eisenhower, inbound is 58 minutes from Wolf to the old post office. Outbound is 44 minutes. Inbound Stevenson from Tri-State to Lakeshore is 53 minutes. Outbound is 24. The Dan Ryan slows down from 95th to the Byrne interchange, 34 minutes. Outbound looks good at 11 minutes. And watch out for a serious accident on the south side, a crash with injuries on Jeffrey Boulevard at 82nd Street. Traffic is a service of Turnkey. Chicago's Morning Answer continues, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be warm and humid with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 79. Tonight, expect overcast skies and mild conditions with a possible isolated thunderstorm later on and a low of 65. Tomorrow will bring cloudy and humid weather with a thunderstorm likely in the afternoon and temperatures peaking at 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So over the weekend, there was a lot of hand-wringing over Jimmy Kimmel's suspension, and so that there's a cause celeb for the left. You saw the noxious Eric Swalwell passing out Jimmy Kimmel paraphernalia, appearing on talk shows with his Jimmy Kimmel hat to decry the end of the republic, as is their wont with everything.
Hat say.
You're damn right I am, John. I was a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He, every night, has a right to come into any house that wants to watch and entertain Americans, just as Greg Gutfeld on Fox has a right to be not funny and go on his network and entertain Americans. It's a part of who we are, John, and frankly, it should shake every American that the President of the United States is out there firing comedians who make fun of him. That is not who we are, and every American should care and stand up to this.
Yeah, of course, the mischaracterization of Trump as having fired Jimmy Kimmel, the mischaracterization of the First Amendment as a right to be a late-night talk show host on a corporate corporate-owned stations, and to have your content pipe through and to speak there as long as you are comfortable, as opposed to what the ownership of the licenses and the infrastructure want. But I mean, this is the conflation. And then there was all sorts of fact-checking about late-night talk shows and how one-sided they are. Well, how one-sided is Jimmy Kimmel? Eric Swalwell was a guest. That alone is prima facie evidence, Exhibit A. But Jake Tapper wanted to do a little fact-checking on Trump's suggestion that 97% of the coverage of Trump on the late-night talk show hosts is is negative, and he criticized the source of the data point that Trump uses, or the source of the research that generated the data point that Trump uses on that.
The president there is saying about TV news networks, because he doesn't like what they report, maybe their license should be taken away. Now, we should note first that this 97% figure is wrong. It's actually 92%. And that figure comes from a non-scientific, frankly, non-credible analysis done by a far-right pro-Trump group looking at the NBC, CBS, and ABC evening news broadcast. So to be crystal clear, just to reiterate the point here, this is the President of the United States threatening to use the power of the presidency, the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, to remove or change news.
He's expressing his personal preferences, I think, with respect to news organizations, with respect to late-night talk show hosts. I misspoke. Of course, the 97% is with respect to the news coverage, not just the late-night talk show hosts coverage of the president. Speaking of Newsbusters, Media Matters, Media Research Center, that's who Tapper's referring to. That's who Trump was referring to. The methodology to determine the spin of evening news coverage, our analysts tallied all explicitly evaluative statements about President Trump from either reporters, anchors, or nonpartisan sources, such as experts or voters, in order to isolate the network's own slant, not the back and forth of partisan politics evaluations from partisan sources, Republicans supporting Trump's, Democrats criticizing him, as well as neutral statements were not included. This matches the methodology we used in 2017 to calculate the tone of coverage, of the Trump administration, and in 2021 to calculate the tone of Biden administration coverage. Using these criteria, MRC, Media Research Center, which is Newsbusters, Media Matters is the left organization. Media Research Center tallied 1,841 evaluative statements about the Trump administration, of which 1,698, 92%, were negative, versus a mere 143, 7.8%, which were positive. So not that that's the standard for licensure, as we discussed last week, but just in terms of what the news coverage is. I mean, for Tapper to suggest that the DC Press Corps, which since 1968 has voted between 84 and 92% for the Democrat nominee for president, to suggest that it is not always slanted for the left and against the right is absurd. And to argue about whether it's 92 or 97 or 88 or 93 is wholly irrelevant. As I would challenge Jake Tapper, were he courageous enough to come on the show, which he isn't, and anybody else, just ask them this question. If the coverage was 84%, 92%, if the distribution of votes were 84 to 92% for the Republican candidate for president over the last 50 years, do you think the coverage would be any different? So it would be different. I'm sure they would say yes, of course, because they don't trust Republicans, conservatives. Sure, of course it would be, right. But for some reason, they want us to believe that they are the repository of even-handedness when all evidence suggests the contrary. Yeah. And why Eric Swalwell is so fond of Jimmy Kimmel, other than he got his star turn on the show, is because the late night talk shows, the viewership is dominated by the left, of course. So they're giving their audience, their shrinking audience, what they want. Now, you can appeal to an insular audience and still have a going concern or a going show. But I mean, let's just be honest about who is watching, who is being catered to, what the point of these shows is. This is the Associated Press Nork Center for Public Affairs Research. A percent who say in the past year they have done the following: watched clips from a late night talk or variety show. 1 in 3 adults have watched a clip from a late night talk or variety show. 1 in 3 adults overall. 1 in 4 Republicans and nearly half of self-identified Democrats. So it's almost 2 to 1 Democrats to Republicans who self-report as having watched clips from a late night talk show or variety show at least once a month. Less often or never, the distribution holds up. When it comes to watching all or most of a late night talk show, 1 in 3 Democrats, not even 1 in 5 Republicans. So, number one, a third of all adults in the U.S. is a smaller percentage of a very big number. So it's not that nobody is watching, but it is not, it's certainly not dominating the ratings. It is not must-see TV, and by a standard deviation, that is the case Republicans versus Democrats. So let's just understand, who's talking to who here. It'd be like being surprised to learn that MSNBC or CNN is dominated by leftist viewers. Of course they are. People in their own echo chambers. And this goes back to the conversation we were having with Professor Barbara Oakley about living in your own echo chamber. And of course, the challenge is that the left has been able to do that for a long time, where they do not have to interact with, engage, consider a conservative's opinion because of their domination of most of the media and all of the civic institutions, and even corporate, private sector institutions. Whereas that is not the case with conservatives. And so who turns out to have sharper skills when it comes to arguing the particulars of an event or an issue. But that doesn't stop anybody from, again, using this opportunity to recast these censorious leftists as now the great protectors of our free speech rights, which is what you're getting from all the late night talk show hosts rallying around the Jimmy Kimmel flag, as well as the politicians on Capitol Hill who, were perfectly happy and downright celebratory to see people they don't like fired, deplatformed, and even illicitly silenced through improper government action. Please see the Twitter files reporting. This was Jon Stewart's intro to his Daily Show. Yeah, that's been rebooted.
From Comedy Central, it's the all-new government-approved Daily Show. With your patriotically obedient host, Jon Stewart.
Yeah, right. Everyone is, casting themselves as, under the thumb of the government, and they will they will be allowed to speak their mind vis-a-vis their proper obsequiousness to the Trump in chief. It's really sort of droll, isn't it? It was funny. Matt Dowd, remember him? No, nobody else does either, but he wants to be remembered. Matt Dowd, who got ash canned by MSNBC over his intemperate remarks in the immediacy of Charlie Kirk's assassination, suggesting, like Jimmy Kimmel, that it may have been MAGA, calling Kirk a divisive figure. I mean, just the typical classless garbage talking points, leftism that you'll get on MSNBC, thoughtlessness. Yeah, Matt Dowd, another one of these soy boy country club Republicans turned dutiful leftist in the Trump era. Well, he was on with Katie Couric's podcast. Well, boy, the mighty have fallen. Actually, not that far from MSNBC to Katie Couric's podcast. She may have more viewers. But anyway, what about Matt Dowd? Hey, everybody forgot about me.
What's amazing, and now if you watch any of their shows in the last 24 hours, all the shows are talking about how, like, this is awful for America that Jimmy Kimmel was, indefinitely suspended, and isn't this awful for America, and it's a chilling thing for the First Amendment, and they're saying that on every platform. Not one person has said anything about me. Not one person on that network has said, they've all gone out of their way to say, isn't this horrible what happened to Jimmy Kimmel? Isn't even including Morning Joe and Mika, who went after me after the show, basically saying they were glad I was terminated. And now today they're talking about how awful it is for our country that somebody like Jimmy Kimmel can't say what he said and he is indefinitely suspended, and not an iota about what their employer just did to another employee.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out that's a corporate decision, too. Why isn't everybody rallying around Matt Dowd? Maybe Matt Dowd can figure out this riddle. What a dope. Matt Dowd? Who's going to rally around you? You're nobody. Nobody cares. Another fungible talking head reciting the central office's talking points. It's some putty-faced, 60-something-year-old political hack inside the Beltway. Dime a dozen. You have no profile, so you have no political utility. You're not a proper mascot. That's what this always is with the left. It's mascot politics. Jimmy Kimmel's a mascot. He's got a big audience, or bigger. Been around for a long time. Late night talk show. People know who he is. Matt Dowd doing analyst hits on Morning Joe. That means something to maybe 15,000 people that watch that even know who Matt Dowd is. People way, way, way inside the bubble. But that's the whole point. Matt Dowd is completely unaware that he's indicting himself. It's not about the principle, Matt. It never was. It's about the politics. So Matt Dowd we can afford to lose, and we can even kick him on his way out the door. Jimmy Kimmel, everybody put your hat on and stand behind a podium so Eric Swalwell can tell us that this is the end of our democracy. You see how it works? Yeah, that's how it works. Gosh, I'm sorry, Matt, you didn't realize that. Something else, actually, a good point that was made by Charlie Kirk's executive producer about what Jimmy Kimmel said. Andrew Colvett is the executive producer, the Charlie Kirk show executive producer. Something important that's being missed with the Jimmy Kimmel saga. By spreading the vile lie that Charlie was assassinated by MAGA, the implicit message from Kimmel was clear: if you kill a conservative, we'll cover for you. We'll whitewash the murder because we don't think conservatives deserve to live. Kill more, assassinate more, we have your back. This is evil. Executives at ABC rightly received a deluge of complaints from affiliates. They asked Kimmel to apologize for lying, and he refused, instead vowing to double down. Only then did he get canned. Well, that's assuming that that suspension is final, which it may be, it may not be. It's unclear to me. He goes on to, does Andrew Colvett, to say, networks like ABC, NBC, and CBS enjoy massive taxpayer-supported privileges and advantages because they're supposed to contribute to the quote-unquote public good. Those privileges come with the responsibility to not knowingly spread harmful lies like the one Jimmy Kimmel was spreading. Jimmy Kimmel is not a victim, he's a liar. Jimmy Kimmel is not a martyr, Charlie is. Let's keep that straight. Well, I agree with that. He's not a victim, he is a liar, and he's not a martyr. But that public good invocation and getting the FCC involved to inveigh on the topic is a mistake. It's a big mistake. Keep the lines of separation between the principled and the hypocritical as bright as they can be. But I mean, just to Colvett's point, just as another reminder, as if you need one, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel celebrating the deplatforming of Trump and his supporters, ordinary Americans. Shut them up too.
Trump has been suspended from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and even Snapchat. But don't worry, Mr. President, there are still plenty of apps you do have access to. You still have Spotify to drown out the sound of millions of people cheering as you leave. You still have Pet Finder since you're on the outs with Mike Pence. You have Cameo, which will soon be your primary source of income. You can still play Among Us, a game where everyone accuses each other of being against them. You'd love it. You could play Pokemon Go. You and Donnie Jr. can hunt Pikachus together. And when no one else wants you, don't forget, there's always your old friend, the Domino's Pizza Tracker. Not only did Trump get banned from Twitter.
Hilarious. You know, if just once you would have seen any of those leading lights of the left stand up and decry the deplatforming of people for having opposing viewpoints, even on forget political people, men and women of science during COVID, like Jay Bhattacharya, now your NIH director, and Marty Makary, now your FDA director, and so many more, Martin Kulldorff at Harvard and Sunetra Gupta at Oxford. I mean, anybody, and they never do, because they're proponents of compulsory unification of opinion, with the emphasis on compulsory. They're proponents of that. And what they have now in Jimmy Kimmel is a mascot to use to muddy the waters on who is and is not a consistent proponent of free thinking and free speaking in America, and to try to draw attention away from the mess they contributed to when that assassin's bullet struck and killed Charlie Kirk.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Xumo Play.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Did you know a will alone does not keep your family out of court when you die? The court still has to approve your will, but get a living trust, and your estate can be settled clearly without issue. Talk to the attorneys at Nauman & Associates. They prepare wills and trusts for a flat fee, no surprises, no hourly rate. With decades of experience, they know the law and offer a free consultation. Contact Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village, nalawgroup.com. Call 847-593-8777.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, your reflections and reviews of the Charlie Kirk funeral service. There were many moments, many, as I would call them, celestial moments. Two in particular stuck out to me. We'll go over them at 8:38. Take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 68 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Scattered thunderstorms are possible this afternoon with highs reaching 76 degrees. President Trump alluded to his plans to bring in the National Guard to assist with crime in Chicago while speaking at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk yesterday, something the president says was asked of him by the Turning Point founder.
Raised in the suburbs of Chicago, Charlie was filled with a patriotic spirit from his youth, and he was an all-American in everything he did. And one of the last things he said to me is, "Please, sir, save Chicago. We're going to do that. We're going to save Chicago from horrible crime."
Meanwhile, a memorial service for Kirk was also held in Arlington Heights, where folks paid tribute to the Wheeling High School alum. Plans to honor Kirk at his former high school are being debated, with online petitions circulating both in favor and against Kirk being memorialized at the high school. A man is in custody following a shooting in Chicago's West Loop early yesterday morning. According to reports, a 38-year-old male passed away after he was shot in the chest following an argument. Authorities say a 28-year-old male has been arrested. Suspect had transported himself to a local hospital for treatment of a bullet-grazing wound to his leg. Former Governor Jim Edgar was laid to rest on Saturday. Edgar served 2 terms as governor as well as a decade spent as Secretary of State. The Republican service was a bipartisan event with more than 300 people attending, including Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker, who memorialized Edgar as, quote, a force for unity with a unique ability to bring people together despite their differences. Edgar passed away on September 14th. He was 79 years old. Train traffic was halted yesterday afternoon after an Amtrak passenger train crashed into construction equipment on its way into Chicago. Passengers reported the train coming to an abrupt halt. There were no injuries reported to passengers on the train. However, a construction worker was sent to the hospital for treatment. Crews are continuing to investigate that incident. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Join AM 560
on Thursday, October 2nd in Glen Ellen
for a conservative conversation, an evening of insight, inspiration, and ideas on how conservatives can unite around shared values to advance a common agenda. Speakers will include Pastor Lorenzo Sewell of 180 Church in Detroit, Jeannie Ives, and John Anthony, with each bringing a unique perspective on faith, policy, and community leadership. Get your tickets today at 560theanswer.com/conversation. That's 560theanswer.com/conversation.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hawkberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hawkberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
People ask us all the time, when's the best time to replace an old air conditioner? Simple. Before it breaks. Because when it does, you know it'll be the hottest day of the year, and suddenly you're scrambling like hundreds of others to get help during a heat wave. At Air Right Heating and Cooling, we've seen it all. We know there's never a good time to be without AC, especially in Chicagoland, where the humidity can make 80 degrees feel like 100. At Air Right, our experienced technicians don't just work fast, they'll do it right. Browse through our more than 1,500 5-star Google reviews to see what our loyal customers love most about us. If it's been a while since your system was inspected, don't wait for a heat wave before having it checked out. And right now, AM 560 listeners receive $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Craig Bolanos, powered by VestGen Wealth Partners, Sunday morning at 10 on AM 560 The Answer.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 18 minutes. Outbound is 23. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange is 41 minutes, but down to 13 minutes on the outbound side. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 49 minutes. Outbound is 33. And it is jam-packed on the Stevenson inbound between Harlem Avenue and Pulaski Road due to an accident blocking the left lane, so it will be 53 minutes inbound inbound from the tri-state to Lakeshore, outbound is 26 minutes, and it's 34 minutes both ways on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn interchange. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Blindster.com sells custom blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices. Their blinds are handcrafted to fit your windows, and if they don't for any reason, they'll remake them for free. Your satisfaction is always guaranteed at Blindsters.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be warm and humid with a mix of sunshine and clouds, reaching a high of 79. Tonight, expect overcast skies and mild conditions with a possible isolated thunderstorm later on and a low of 65. Tomorrow will bring cloudy and humid weather with a thunderstorm likely in the afternoon and temperatures peaking at 77. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I think J.D. Vance had it right at Charlie Kirk's funeral service yesterday. It was both a celebration of life, Charlie Kirk's life, and eternal life in Christ.
You know, I can't help but think that they tried to silence my friend Charlie Kirk. They tried to silence our dear friend Charlie Kirk. And today, tonight, we speak with Charlie and for Charlie louder than ever. The evil murderer who took Charlie from us expected us to have a funeral today, and instead, my friends, we have had a revival in celebration of Charlie Kirk and of his Lord Jesus Christ.
Three 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And that dovetails into the most celestial moment of the service for me. And that is Brandon Lake. Brandon Lake wrote and recorded one of the most beautifully haunting ballads that's ever been recorded, as far as I'm concerned, Christian or otherwise, called Gratitude. I'm sure many are familiar with it. Certainly many in the audience yesterday were familiar with it because they sang along with Brandon Lake. It was really something. Play, as I did earlier in the program, though, a snippet of his song Gratitude, that, you know, where the sound quality is better because it's a video as opposed to this big open air stadium and difficult to get great audio. But I mean, just to give you the feel for the power of this song.
So I throw up my hands, praise you again and again. 'cause all that I have is a hallelujah, hallelujah. And I know it's not much, but I've nothing else fit for a king except for a heart singing hallelujah,
That song is as good as it gets. As good as it gets. Some other reflections on Kirk at his service yesterday came from Elon Musk, who was emotional. And it was nice to see Elon and Trump shake hands and be friends in that moment. You saw them in the box together, I'm sure. Elon Musk on Charlie Kirk. And importantly, when he was asked the question, why was he shot?
Well, Charlie was someone who believed in dialogue, in open debate. He was a man of ideas. He spoke eloquently. He basically never even raised his voice. He was a man of peace. Mm-hmm. And now he's been murdered in cold blood.
Did you know him personally?
Yes, of course. We met many times.
How was he like?
I supported his organization. I supported Turning Point from quite early.
Why was he killed?
He was killed because his words made a difference. Because he was showing people the light, and he was killed by the dark.
Thank you, sir.
Of course, another seminal moment was when his widow, Erica Kirk, spoke, who's now taking over the reins at Turning Point. And as you heard on our news, getting right back to work to extend and build upon the work that Charlie and that whole Turning Points organization has done to this point. Especially since the exponentially increased demand for chapters at colleges and high schools. But the moment that a lot of people are rightly talking about was divinely inspired. Erica Kirk forgiving her husband's killer.
He wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life. That young man. On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Will and Skokie are on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, the most striking comment I heard, and I'm not trying to get too political here, is when they said that, what if we had a Trump rally and invited the Holy Spirit? And I felt the Spirit in that service yesterday, and it was very touching.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Will. Glenn in Orlando.
Good morning, Dan. Yeah, I watched the whole thing. It was very inspirational. I was completely impressed with all of the Turning Point representatives they had on stage speaking. Those young people are hardworking, energetic. They are really, really good people and natural-born leaders to lead our country in the next millennia. So,
thanks for the call, Glenn. Interesting, it's the broad cross-section of people and artists as well. And artists are people too. But, Brandon Lake, and then sort of on different genre, that would be rap. I was interested in something that Forgiato Blow had to say. We've had him on the show before. Sort of a MAGA rapper, if you will, among those musicians who've been sort of inspired to rap about our politics in the Trump era. This is what he had to say on what Charlie Kirk meant to him.
This right here is what Charlie Kirk means to me. You know what I'm saying? This is what it means to youth out here, children out here, MAGA supporters out here, people who love God out here, people who love free speech out here. That's what Charlie Kirk means to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Sort of a proxy for all of those things that Forgiato Blow said and others about living your faith, practicing your faith without fear or reprisal, speaking your mind without fear or reprisal, living in fellowship, Christian fellowship with each other. And that's, part of why you see the response that you've seen, because those things have been, if not formally repressed, attacked for a long time. And they continue to be. And this was an opportunity to come together to peacefully push back with one voice. And I think that's what you saw largely yesterday. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, Dan, good morning. I heard you very emotional yesterday. Have heard you say many times over the years, we can be them, but they can't be us. And I don't think yesterday there could be any better example of that than yesterday.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Tom. Agreed. Ken in Lake Geneva.
Yeah, I watched the whole service and was completely touched by it, but then talked to some friends, family members that are more on the left side, and they have a narrative that says Charlie Kirk was just another person and that people get killed all the time. And I'm so sick and tired of their double speak and wanted to just throw that in there because they are deceptive, they're angry, they lie. And they're the ones that wanted to defund the police. They're the ones that wanted and allowed criminalization and all the stuff that happened during Black Lives Matter in downtown Chicago. And that's why we left Illinois, and we'll never come back to that place until Pritzker's gone and the mayor's gone and they have something other than a mafia running the city.
Thanks for the call, Ken. In addition to the survey data that we presented about who we're dealing with here, we're only a couple months removed from this Axios story that we talked about at least a few times on this show, because it's jarring. So much of this data is jarring. These perspectives are disquieting, which is why yesterday was so uplifting. It felt like, bathing in rejuvenating water. In July, House Democrats were telling Axios on background, because they're afraid of their own constituents. They're afraid of their own supporters, at least maybe not all their constituents, not those that are center right. They have to go on background with Axios. Their constituents told them, quote, civility isn't working, unquote, and to prepare for, quote, violence to fight to protect our democracy. One lawmaker saying, quote, our own base is telling us what we're doing is not good enough, that there needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public. That is a quote. Axios, not a conservative outlet. More, a fourth House Democrat said constituents have told them, quote, civility isn't working, and to prepare, quote, for, quote, violence to fight to protect our democracy. A fifth House Democrat told Axios that, quote, people online have sent me crazy blank, told me to storm the White House and stuff like that. These are House Democrats speaking on background because lest they put their name to what they're hearing from their erstwhile supporters and be targeted by said erstwhile supporters. They at least some of those House Democrats recognize that their base is happy to cannibalize them. Rick and Joliet.
Morning, Dan. Well, I had something else, but, that quote was just vile and disgusting and leaves a man like me wondering, okay, you're going to take blood, how do we then react? But I wanted to thank you specifically for having the snippets and the review of Charlie's funeral. And I've been in such a deep, dark spot since that happened that I I avoided the funeral yesterday in the media. And I think I really cheated myself out of some healing salve there. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the call. Well, the good news is many of the highlights are online, so you can go consume them. And I'd start with Brandon Lake's Gratitude on Heavy Rotation. I hadn't heard that song in a while. Man, it is. Whew, that's something. Tim in Woodstock.
Hi, good morning, Dan. I appreciated you highlighting that song, Gratitude. I play on a worship team, guitar on a worship team at a local church here in Woodstock. But a couple Sundays ago, we were once in a while with our kids, and
Tim, you're cutting out on me, Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry. On the way home from visiting that church, I asked my wife, do you remember some of the words to the song? And I scrambled a few of the words together. When I got home, I looked it up, and it was a song, Gratitude. And I've been trying to learn it on the guitar. It's just an amazing tune. But the left, if nothing else, they have to make people ungrateful for things in their life. You can't be, and especially you can't be grateful toward God. And one of the things that makes us different is a gratefulness toward God. And it was so on display yesterday at Charlie's funeral. But gratefulness will temper, I think, your response to anything in life.
Yes.
A grateful attitude toward God. But I appreciate you highlighting that song.
Thanks, Tim. Jordan in Antioch.
Morning, Dan. Yeah, Brandon Lake, amazing song. So we watched the vigil on TV, the memorial, and my son, 18, just went off to college, and I had hopes and prayers for him, and it came through. When Charlie was shot, he was the one that notified me. I was at work, and I asked him how he was doing, and he went to he's on a campus without dad there to guide him, and he's in his Bible looking for solace and guidance. So praise God for that and the guidance. But in response to the one caller said, they can't be us and we can't be them. Oh, yes, we can. We can be them if we start to abandon our principles and lose sight of what's important.
Well, that's what he was saying. Yes, that's exactly what he was saying.
So, and that's my point is we need to, just like Erica preaching the gospel and J.D. Vance and everybody else, Brandon Lake, right, is we need to be that place for them to come to. Even as hard as it is to be in front of them, as hard as it is to be with them. You're not going to get the ones that are just like quoting the people from Axios, but there are a lot who are watching what is going on. And I think that in effect is Charlie's legacy, is the awakening of the other side. There's another place you can go to, and it's way more peaceful and way more happy than where you're at. And you can find joy in that. And I think that's his legacy. I pray that's his legacy.
Thank
Jordan.
you.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
8 for Women is hosting their annual dinner on Thursday, September 25th, and you're invited. We're gathering at the beautiful Union League Club downtown. That's 65 West Jackson Boulevard for what's always a really special night. This year's speaker is Dr. Robert Royal, who founded the Faith and Reason Institute in Washington. He has some fascinating insights on faith, culture, and the issues we're all talking about. Here's how the evening unfolds. At 5 o'clock, you can meet Dr. Robert Lawler, our medical director, an amazing person with some amazing stories. Then we'll have drinks and good conversation at 5:30, followed by dinner and the program at 6:30. It's really about supporting women in our community. Getting tickets is easy. Just go to helpaidforwomen.org. That's helpaidforwomen.org. You can grab dinner tickets, try your luck with drawing tickets, or if you're feeling generous, check out the sponsorship options. September 25th, Aid for Women's annual dinner. Hope to see you there. Visit helpaidforwomen.org to join us.
Does your garage floor look lousy with stained or cracked concrete, or even worse, bad epoxy or paint? Call Comer and Cross Concrete Floors now. During their end-of-the-year sale at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR right now, you'll get the best price of the year guaranteed, starting with $750 off. At Comer and Cross Garage Floor, they are the gold standard, guaranteed to never chip, crack, or show tire lift like epoxy or bad paint. And they'll make it so easy, they're in and out in one day. They'll fix your cracks, the pits, and they fix them perfectly the first time. They're certified, they're uniformed, they're employees. They'll even take the stuff out of your garage for you. Whether you're in Chicago, Milwaukee, or Indiana, now is the time to call them for the best price of the year, guaranteed, starting with $750 off right now during their end-of-the-year garage sale. Here's the number. It's easy. 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. That's 1-800-NEW-FLOOR, or go to COMERcross.com.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Xumo Play.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thank you to all for joining us on this installment of Chicago's Morning Answer. Back tomorrow with more, including former Bears quarterback Eric Kramer. He's survived some trials and tribulations in his life, to say the least. He's got a fascinating story to share, and I'm looking forward to talking to Eric Kramer tomorrow, so that'll be a highlight. Appreciate the calls as well and reflections on Charlie Kirk and the funeral service yesterday. Good conversations all morning. It is now 9 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
He calls it one of the most important news conferences he'll ever have. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, touting what President Trump says is a major medical breakthrough on causes of autism.
So we won't let it happen anymore, and how to get at least somewhat better when you have it.
He said that last night at the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service. Fox's Madeline Rivera reports Tylenol's under scrutiny.
Researchers at Mount Sinai found children exposed to acetaminophen during pregnancy may be more likely to develop neurodevelopmental disorders like autism and ADHD.